Yes, guys, you know what time it is. It's your boy David at the Irish Hotspur, Ireland's #1 Spurs fan, bringing you Tottenham January transfer window roundup and talk, basically. Just a preview to the window and what sort of business we think we can do, loans, signings, players out, etc., etc. And we are joined, honestly, anyone that loves transfers, this is like an orgasm for you. We are joined by the only man I trust when it comes to Tottenham transfer news, and that is Mr. Sir Matt Hayes. And also the only man I trust when it comes to any player from around the world. I know he has the scoop on him, and it's Jack from flatcapeurotalk. First of all, we'll start with Matty because it's been a long time. Ireland's #2 Spurs fan. Mr. Hayes, how are you keeping?
I was enjoying that intro until the last minute there, David. I won't lie. But no, absolute pleasure to be back on. Thanks for the intro, and I apologise to everyone watching because I won't be able to live up to that. But always a pleasure to be on here with you two gentlemen.
No, you definitely do live up to it, Matty. I mean, everyone, this is a guy that puts stuff out a day or two beforehand, gets slaughtered, and then a day or two later when it comes true, no one goes back and thanks him. They just don't realise how spot on this guy is with the news, that's for sure. But Jack, my man, how are you keeping, brother?
It's good to be back, Dave. It's not been a long time no see on the Irish Hotspur, but it's finally kind of a relief to be joined by Matty, Dave, because finally can have the transfer guru when it comes to Spurs, the guy who's got his finger on the pulse when it comes to any sort of rumors around maybe sort of players that we could have, because sometimes I'm kind of just shooting in the dark when it comes to players that I feel like might come to Spurs. We finally have somebody that could actually give us a bit of sense, kind of ground us a bit, which players, we might be interested in, and just have a nice transfer discussion, Dave. It's almost like it'd be like therapy for a lot of us in the Harris Army.
No, it definitely is. And look, one would say that Matty Hayes actually, made me actually like the transfer window, to be honest with you, because before it used to be absolutely, like pulling teeth, where you just see links. But then I found Matty Hayes, and I actually found out we could have a discussion about transfers, a debate about it, and everything else, which actually made me like the window. So it's absolutely brilliant. But look, before we do get into it, we will get into the comments and see what Irish Hotspur army we have with us. First of all, if you do want to become a channel member, don't get early access to the fan show every Monday, because it's quite busy. Let's be honest, the queues is getting busy. They're getting longer and longer. But we still want to hear from all you Spurs fans. I will not rest until I hear from every single one of you across the world. So grab your membership and come on and have your say with us. Let's see who we have, though. We have Jerry. He's in. He wants to make sure he's in. Big up, Jerry. And congratulations on the job, my man. We have Gary Paul Speed. Looking forward to tonight's chat, David, and stay safe, buddy. Gary, I hope you're keeping well, my man. I hope all is good with you and the family and everything else. Don't worry about me. I'm always keeping myself safe, my man. Old Soul, he says, big up, lads and ladies. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Old Soul. Hope you're keeping well. Should move on. Spurs, Arsenal looking like they beat 10-man West Ham. Yeah, look, you never know. West Ham might pull out something late. Shamu, always have hope. Derek Hutchinson says, good evening, David and Jack. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Derek. Hope you're keeping well. We have Yasan Shakur, cousin to Tupac Shakur, says, Insigne to Spurs links. Are they reliable? Well,
we'll get into it.
About that. We will be talking about that. We will get into it. Or will we let Matty answer it now? Go on, Matty. Give them a little bit of a sneak preview.
It's never nice to ruin the mood early on in the stream, but no, I'll be waiting for a few more people to say something before we get our hopes up about this one. It just feels like Dybala all over again, but without the actual proper journalist saying something. So nothing in it for me.
That's a good way to put it.
No. There you have it, Yasan. So Matty has crushed your dreams so early on into the stream. I do apologise on his behalf.
That's what I'm here for.
Matt Hayes says this is going to be a belter. That it is, Matty. Ben Kaufman is in the house. King of Coffee. Big up, Ben. I hope you're keeping well. King, speaking of Kings, King Huddle's here. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, King Huddle. We have Tempest Fugit. He says, big up, guys. Big up, Tempest. I hope you're keeping well. Big up, Dermot Tottenham Tantrum. I really appreciate the super chat, my man. Really do appreciate it. He says, ladies and gentlemen, in the show we have been waiting. It's the show we have been waiting for. Introducing the one and only David Huddle, Irish Hotspur Harris, and his partner in crime, Jack Waddle Kanicki. Big up to Matty Transfer Hayes. Absolutely love it. Big up, Dermot. What a legend. Everybody, do get over and check out his channel, Tottenham Tantrum Gold. For some of you guys that may be a bit grayer than me, it's all for you. It really is. Get over there. Replays of the glory days. Sometimes, I do have it on when I'm cooking breakfast, lunch, dinner. They're always on. So do get over and check it out. Big up, Dermot. I hope you're keeping well. Dark Song G's in the house, my man. I hope you're keeping well. We also have Par Miguel Escobardo all the way from Lagos. Evening, my man. Hope you're keeping well. We have Leon in the house. Big up, lads. Big yourself up, Leon. So we D. Can't bloody wait for this. Big up, Jack, David, and Matty Hayes. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you flat cap army. Bring Vlahovic home. He won't miss Fiorentina when he sees our purple third kit. Look, that's a very good point, to be fair. That's a good one, Zoe. But we will be talking about Vlahovic just a little bit later on. Sean Snow's in the building. This guy loves transfers. Big up, Sean. I hope you're keeping well and behave yourself, like Jack said. Big up, Shawnee boy. Golden Cogs in the house. Howdy, guys and gals. Time to sit back and enjoy the real Irish cream, David and Matt. And of course, not forgetting Jack's Irish links. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Harris Army. Come on, you Flat Cap Army. Look, between the three of us, we probably make an Irish coffee. So big yourself up, Golden Cock. Well, the bottom do it says legends, David and Jack. Don't forget about Matty, my man. Derek is saying big up, Matty. Ben Kaufman is singing Matty Hayes. He's all over it. Absolutely love it. Who else have we got?
You bought him Duda. We'll look forward to this one, though. He likes the transfers.
Oh, he loves them.
So he does. So
he does love them. He's always in there asking about transfers. He's going to love it. Mark Cousins in the house. Big up, Bob Spur. Keep fighting. Yes. Actually, very important message. It does seem that maybe Bob is taking a bit of a turn for the worse. So look, everyone, if you can, light a candle and keep him in your thoughts and your prayers. Look, Bob is a fighter and hopefully he will pull through it. But big up, Mark. Celery agents in the house. Oi, Savile, big up, Celery. I hope you're keeping well. Killian Kenny's in the house. Big up, David Harris. Have a good night. Big up, Killian. I hope you are keeping well, my man.
Happy birthday as well, Killian. Big yourself up, Killian.
Birthday.
Yeah, it's his birthday, Dave. He's turning the big 1-7 as well today. So, I would say, I think I probably wasn't as wise as Killian by the age of 17. But Killian, like I said, enjoy yourself. Do what you want to do on your birthday. Your birthday is to do what you want to do. So whatever you're up to tonight or even today, just do what you want to do, my man. Enjoy yourself.
Big up, Killian. I hope you really have a good day, my man. And a happy birthday from everyone here at the Irish Hotspur and from Matty Hayes, of course. Big happy birthday to you, my man. I hope you got spoiled today. Big yourself up. Dark Sung G's in the house, and big up Dark Sung G. Really appreciate the support, my man. He says, I hope one day we go for Kang In Lee, Lee Dong Kyung, Jeong Woo Young for Korean prospects. I really hope we can get Shula Insigne, Dusan, Kim Min Jae in January. Well, there's a lot to dissect there. So, look, maybe we'll let Jack take the first half with all the Korean prospects, and then we'll let Matty kind of go through the second half without going through
tag team. Yeah, Kang In Lee, Dave, that, guy that we did that review of, at Mallorca, the former Valencia talent, absolute baller. He is. I would take him any day of the week. I think we obviously would have to wait till he finishes this loan spell or whatever it is that he's over at Mallorca. So we probably have to wait till the end of the season, if not a bit longer. Lee Dong Kyung, they've been saying, Dave, he's been tearing it up, over as a right winger in the Korean league. So, I guess, just see how that goes. And maybe we could get him on a nice, kind of outside shout kind of transfer, maybe a nice cheap transfer there. And then Jong Woo Young, the Freiburg player that's absolutely smashing it as well, who can play all around the park. So in terms of Korean prospects, Dave, they just keep on coming. They just keep on flowing. So I would say we probably just got to put, a bit of a tap over there and just make sure that we're following some of these prospects because they're just coming out every single day. But big up, Dark Sunji. Matty?
Well, I think I've already crushed the Insigne dream. I was actually just looking back at some of my notes in the summer there. It was La Repubblica who came out today and said that Tottenham are set to make a move for Insigne in January. And the only thing they really said about Spurs in the summer was that we had made a bid for Mikkel Damsgaard for Sampdoria. And I think we all know at this point that there's absolutely no truth to that. Nicolas Sula, look, incredible defender, an absolute tank, a beast of a man. Probably not going to want to make that step down to Spurs at the moment. Look, let's hope Conte brings us somewhere. Maybe that's something we can review in coming years. Kim Min Jae, I think, is one that maybe the ship has sailed. I know he's made a move recently to Fenerbahce. He's at now over in Turkey. Yeah. He's one that we were definitely looking at when he was at his peak at Beijing Guan, but haven't made that move recently. I'm not sure it's one for the immediate future, but again, another good prospect that maybe we can look at in a few years. And for Dusan Vlahovic, I'm going to say now.
Don't talk about Dusan yet. Don't talk about Dusan yet.
Perfect.
Not my Dusan. Not yet. Big up, Dark Sung G. We will talk about the much coveted Dusan a bit later on. But big up, Dark Sung G. We have Brian Maguire in the house. Big up, Brian. I hope you're keeping well. We also have the regular. Big up everyone in the chat and the panel just listening while doing an essay. Big up the regular. Absolutely ace that essay, my man. Throw the odd Irish hotspur in the end of a sentence there. Why not? I'm sure whoever you're writing the essay for will appreciate it. Pete from the lane, big up, Pete. I hope you are keeping well, my man. It was good to see you that time we were over there, so big yourself up. And then we have 2 more super chats to get to, and then we will start getting into talking about some of the players that we might end up loaning out. The boat and Duta. Honestly, there's going to be a wrangle for transfer questions getting in here tonight. He says, any chance of one of these more realistic targets joining us? Belotti, Gleason, Bremer, or Svanberg? Matty?
And we'll start with Belotti. I think I said it all throughout the summer as well. For me, there's a reason he's still at Torino. For so long, there's been so many teams looking for him, so many teams apparently interested, and he's been doing really well at Torino. He hasn't got that move just yet. I think, as we mentioned further on, I'm not sure a striker will be top of our list for priorities. Gleason Bremer, we've quite a bit to say on him, so maybe we'll keep that one for later, like we are with Dusan Vlahovic. And with Matthias Vanberg, I actually had never heard of him until a couple of weeks ago when Bologna played Roma. I watched about 20 minutes of that game on BT Sport, and Svanberg was absolutely immense in that holding midfield position. He was winning tackles, he was really getting involved, and all of a sudden he went to the other end of the pitch and curled one into the bottom corner from 25 yards out. So I don't know much about him, but from what I do know, I'm a fan because he made Jose Mourinho angry. And that's all I can ask for.
Interesting. Jack Kenton, you want to say?
No, well covered by Matty there. Belotti, I'd be interested to see what he has to say later about him. Of course, we could technically get him on a free. He is going to be available on a free after this season. But Gleason Bremer, David, he's, having almost Romero type numbers, but probably not as great as Romero from last season, but is at least, in terms of tackles, interceptions, absolutely smashing it for Torino at the moment. And then as well, Svanberg, I actually don't really know too much about him, the Swede. So I'm actually going to take a look at him maybe for the second channel, Dave. But yeah, great analysis from Matty. I would definitely take Bremer. He's looking absolutely immense. He'd probably be a better version of Sanchez, a very aggressive sort of like defender. And then obviously Belotti, I think you would take, especially on a free, but maybe, Matty will enlighten us later on as to why maybe no one has actually made the plunge for him yet.
Interesting. Honestly, this is like a schooling lesson for me sometimes. Amir Sardar says, panel of absolute legends. Get the 3 of you on our scouting team ASAP. Come on, you Spurs. Let's have a great January window. Deadwood out, quality in. My man, if the 3 of us were in the club, it would be sorted out. Trust me. It really would be, Amir. But big yourself up, my man. I hope you really sit back and enjoy this one. I know you will. But big up, Amir. And look, we are actually overhauling the scouting department, so who knows? We might get a call.
Yeah.
We just might get that phone call, Amir. But big yourself up, my man. And Moondog says, good evening, guys. Big up, Moondog. I hope you are keeping well. But look, let's get into it. First, we'll start off with players that we maybe that have been talked about maybe going out on loan. So let's start off with that. Look, Tottenham do currently have 5 players out on loan. We usually actually do have a lot more out on loan at this stage, but we did decide to keep some around because of our involvement in the Europa Conference League. Now, look, we all know what happened there. We didn't end up using them. But we do have Papa Sarr, Carter Vickers at Celtic, Troy Parrott, Keane Atete, and Jamie Bowden all out on loan. But look, we'll start with one that's maybe in and around the first team, which is Joe Rodon. And we'll go to Matthew on this one. Look, Joe Rodon, he has had a bit of a difficult time since arriving from Swansea. Of course, he couldn't play in Europe in the first season. And unfortunately, timed injury at the start of this season hurt his chances of making an impression on the Spurs managers this season. And he's just never really been given that proper run in the team. But also, a couple of words here from Conte. He said, I can see Rodon behind Eric Dyer in the central position. For sure, this is a singular position. If you're a central defender on the right or left, you can have more options to play in other parts of the back three. Now, look, Matty Rodon is also reportedly grown frustrated with his lack of game time since his move to Spurs. And reportedly there not so long ago, it was reported that he was open to a loan move. Is there any truth in this? And look, with Cristiano Romero's injury, do you think that we could end up loaning out Joe Rodon?
Yeah, look, just even to... That's something that was brought up quite a bit in Alistair Gold's report that you alluded to there when he said that Joe Rodon is open to a loan move away from Tottenham in order to get more game time. And he said that could really heavily depend on First of all, Tottenham bringing in a centre-back in January,
Yeah.
1 or 2, which I think we do need to do. And he also said at the time we were kind of uncertain of the severity of Christian Romero's injury. And he said with the severity of that, well, that could give Joe Rodon another chance to get into that first team at Tottenham. And we know now that Romero is expected back in the first team in February. So where does that leave Joe Rodon? It's kind of unclear because, if it's a short-term injury, we'd know it's not good for Rodon. If it's long-term, it is good for Rodon. But it's right in that awkward middle ground where we're not really sure where the best place is for Joe Rodon. With regards to the reports that have been linking him away, we've had the Daily Mail, Time Sport, Ekram Koner, and Football Insider all linking Joe Rodon to Newcastle, Brighton, and West Ham. And I'm sure you've all seen at this point Joe Rodon's brother Sam on Twitter having a bit of fun. The Football Insider reporting that Joe Rodon, quote, 100% wants to move away. And Sam Rodon replied to them and just said, "Do you know him, do you?" So I think that may tell us where Joe Rodon's mindset is at the moment. But that tells us nothing about the interest in the teams around us in the Premier League. And I would be quite surprised if there wasn't an interest there, because he's a player who has proven when he's gotten into the Spurs team that he is a very good defender. But I think with the situation Tottenham have been in the last 18 months, if we are looking to give young players a chance in that first team, defensively probably isn't the best way to do that because of how fragile we've been and how vulnerable we've been at the back. And look, when Rodon's come in, he's played well. I'll go back to that game against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge last season, the 0-0 draw. He played very well for 91 minutes, but then right at the end gave that chance to Olivier Giroud, who probably should have done better. And I think it's that kind of naivety and that probably just lack of experience that could cause those errors creeping into his game. So I think as we kind of at the beginning of this Conte period try to build that resilience within the defence, I'm not sure a young player like him getting his first proper chance in a Premier League side is the best way to go about that. I think we'd be better off looking at bringing in 1 or 2 in January. But for Joe Rodon, I wouldn't be surprised if he wanted to try and fight for that place, but I also wouldn't be surprised if he's looking for 6 months away.
And as we were speaking there, Joe Rodon, we're not sure whether he actually does want the loan move or not, but if a club came in with an offer for Joe Rodon to move permanently, do you see Spurs selling?
I personally don't, because the options at the back just really aren't there at the moment. We see Christian Romero going out, one injury, and all of a sudden we look absolutely useless at the back, and we look as though there's a lot of work that needs to be done there. And I think with the injuries we've had in recent years and the medical department kind of struggling, I think options are the best thing that we need at the moment. And let's not lie, the potential is there for Joe Rodon to go on and become a proper centre-back for Tottenham. So I think if an offer permanently came in at the moment, I don't think Spurs would entertain it. But of course, a loan move is a very different story.
Yeah, no, 100%. And look, Jack, what's your thoughts on Joe Rodon? Do you think we might actually be hampering his development right now, and that maybe he should probably force a loan move if you were him?
I think we probably are hampering his development, but, does he have a spot in this Conte side? That's what's difficult, Dave, because we broke down tactically kind of last night, what maybe a center back on Conte's side needs to do. And one of those roles is kind of that ball carrying sort of center back that's brave enough to kind of, make maybe runs, kind of beyond, the midfield, to kind of carry the ball forward, to play kind of progressive passes. And it's never really been Joe Rodon's game. His game is more just kind of just getting stuck in, being a very no nonsense defender. And you probably would say that's not necessarily like really the end all be all when it comes to Conte's back three. You kind of need to be a bit more than that. So probably a loan move of some sort. I've said before, actually, Joe Rodon actually be quite great for probably a team like Burnley or something like that. I feel like, Sean Dyche actually would love, someone like Joe Rodon, because, Sean Dyche doesn't need, his center backs to be, great ball playing sort of center backs. He needs them just to be no nonsense defenders that don't make mistakes. And you probably might say Joe Rodon, it kind of fits that bill. And maybe going to a team like Burnley, going to a team like even a West Ham is not a bad shout either, would actually be, potentially a decent loan move for him. Would they actually put a permanent move in for someone like Joe? I probably don't see that happening. I feel like a loan move, though, is probably potentially likely if they're looking for that no nonsense defender, whoever is out there that is looking for that sort of defender. And are we hampering his development, Dave? I think we have been, to be honest, because he is around Davinson Sanchez's age, I believe. And, to a degree, like, you just need to get a lot of minutes at that sort of age. You just need to be able to be playing game in and game out. And he just hasn't been. And I feel a bit bad for him, especially because he hasn't done a whole lot wrong exactly to probably warrant that. But maybe potentially just this club, maybe just what our ambitions are a bit above his ceiling.
Interesting. And look, for me, just quickly, I'll be honest with you. Me, I wouldn't mind if he went on loan or even if we sold him, to be honest. Look, he was only kind of brought in as a stopgap anyway. He was kind of brought in, maybe this guy has the chance of becoming something a lot better. And I just, look, like I explained already, I just think he's been unlucky. And for me, but look, he's 24 now. I mean, is he going to develop into anything really better? And you look at Conte's quotes, Conte's season behind Eric Dyer. And for me, as long as Eric Dyer stays fit, he probably won't get a shout. But then you have to throw the Romero injury in. We probably do need him for cover. So where I'm at is look, if we bought somebody else in, which I'd be looking to do in January myself anyway, I would potentially be looking at maybe letting Joe Rodon go. But the bottom do it says Matty is amazing. You guys should be scouting. Now Matty's top class, man. Matty is absolutely top class. Trust me, he's so good, man. You're really gonna enjoy this. Moondog says when Conte first came, it was reported he would have 150 million in January. Now Alistair Gold is saying there won't be much money. What's your thoughts? Well, Matty, I'll hand that over to you.
It's happening again. That's what I'd say. Antonio Conte kind of gave us a little insight into this a couple of weeks ago when he was asked about finances for the January window, and he said when he was in talks to join Tottenham, he was told exactly what Tottenham can and can't do in the transfer window, and I think that kind of confirmed a lot of suspicions that Tottenham fans had in the first place. Also, when I was kind of preparing for the show, I put two and two together, and I was looking at Gianluca Di Marzio and his reports a couple of weeks ago on Marcelo Brozovic and Stefan de Vrij and the potential for them to join Tottenham. Now we'll dive into this in a lot more detail later, but he was essentially saying the two of those to Spurs are unlikely because they don't fit the profile that we're looking for, and in that we want younger players to come in and join in the project. And okay, if we're looking for younger players instead of ready-made talents, I think that would say a lot about the transfer budget that is there. And is it a surprise? No. Is it still a disappointment? Yes. Is it the end? No. Because if anyone can make this work, Fabio Paratici and Antonio Conte are certainly very high up on the list of people that I trust with a Spurs budget in a modern transfer market, but definitely a setback.
Look, maybe just to add another question onto the back of that, Matty. Should we be expecting there to be money to be spent in this January? Because they have had fans back in the stadium. So, look, maybe in the summer you could argue there maybe wasn't as much cash flow available because maybe it was tied up in assets. But now, look, after them having fans back in the stadium and match their revenue and stuff, do you expect there to be actual cash flow and cash ready? And should us fans be expecting us to be able to sign a player or two in January?
Of course, look, there's no doubt there is extra money coming in from the fans being back in the stadiums, but I'd counteract that by saying there's two areas of finance that have taken a hit, and the first one will be TV money, because when games are behind closed doors, almost every game was on TV, and you're naturally going to make more money off that. I know Tottenham haven't been televised quite a bit in the UK because we're playing Thursday in the Conference League. They were on that Sunday non-televised game. There's money being lost there, and also the prize money in the Conference League is an absolute fraction of what we're used to in the Europa League and Champions League. So it may be a cynical way to look at it, but maybe those gate receipts are kind of making up for the money lost in other areas. So I wouldn't look too much into that, but the club needs to start reinvesting money that has gone into them in the last couple of years.
Yeah, no, absolutely spot on. Couldn't agree more. But big up, Moondog. Really appreciate the support. And I forgot to tell everybody, make sure to smash that like button. Make sure you do smash that subscribe button if you are new. The big push to 6K is on. And feel free to get your super chats in to help support the channel. But it's also a great way to get your questions in for Matty, for Jack, and any players that you want to know about or that you want to ask, any questions you want to ask them, do get them in. But do not worry. I know Christmas is around the corner. It's an expensive time of the year and everything else. So just get your comments in the chat. At least it's all we ask. But big up, Moondog. Really, really appreciate the support, brother. Really appreciate it. But look, the next player I do want to get on to is Jack Clarke. And I'll start with Jack on this one and then go to Matty, because I know Matty's a huge fan. He calls him the second coming of Christ. But look, Jack Clarke is 21, and it's his third season. He looks no closer to becoming the first team player that maybe we thought he was going to become. He has had loan spells away, one back at Leeds that didn't really work out. He was at Stoke, was it last year? He kind of had a bit of a decent spell there, but he's now playing in the development squad every single week. Jack, would you prefer to loan Jack Clarke out, or would he be one of the ones you'd put up on the transfer list this January transfer window to create funds?
I think it's a similar answer to Joe Rodon. It's like, will actually someone come in to get that permanent move for Jack Clarke? Hard to really know, like probably unlikely. So you would have to look for another loan move. Maybe though you go for you push for maybe a loan option to buy in his case. I think it's also a bit similar to Joe Rodon's case where maybe, Dave, we were trying to like kind of jump on something where it's like, this guy's having a spectacular season. Maybe we can get him now and then potentially, he'd be kind of an under the radar sort of signing that ends up really working out in the future. I think that was the logic with Rodon. I feel like maybe there was the same logic there with Jack Clarke. It just hasn't really worked out really at all. And just like kind of a Joe Rodon, it hasn't really worked out. And so potentially I think you push for a loan option to buy. I feel like Jack Clarke probably needs to step down to probably a championship club of sorts where he can then get, game in, game out sort of action and then be able to then work his way up to the Premier League, and also as well, when you do have a great season in the championship, people do keep their eye on players like that. And if he does have a great season in the championship, that championship club will either pay, money to keep him there so that they can try to push for the Premier League. Or if they send him back, then we will have all the evidence to say that, listen, this is someone that you should probably actually go after. So I would say, Dave, we probably loan him to somewhat of a championship club, see if he has a spectacular season. If that championship club decides to, purchase him and, enact, the buyout clause for whatever it is for him, then, so be it. If they don't, then we at least have maybe somebody that had a good season down there that we can sell on for more than we previously thought.
Yeah, no, absolutely spot on analysis there, Jack. I really like what you have to say there. Matty, would you be like Jack? Look, if you can't sell him, maybe loan him out. Hopefully he has a good season and you can sell him for more than what we thought. Look, me, Matty, where I'm at. I'd rather sell him, but what would you rather do? Do you think, and what do you know? Do you think the club would be looking to sell him? Do you think the club are looking to loan him and develop him?
What I do know is there was a lot of keenness to get a loan move done during the summer from the side of the club, but from Jack Clarke, it was very much the opposite. He wanted to stay and fight for his place, improve it, and I think, like you alluded to earlier on, it was probably with the mindset of getting into the Conference League team and starting to make some moves there. That didn't work out with the joke that we have been in Europe this season. He's playing with the under-23s. He said he's played 13 times in the Premier League 2 this season. He's got 13 appearances, 6 goal contributions, and he's only actually featured for the first team in that Conference League qualifier. He played 45 minutes in the dreadful defeat away to Paços de Ferreira. Yeah. So it's certainly been the opposite of what he was expecting this season. And there was so much talk over the summer that he will be looking for a loan move away. There was interest from domestic clubs, as you would expect, with the good time he spent in the Championship. And just looking back on his loan spells in the Championship, he first went back to Leeds, and this was one of the most bizarre loan moves you've ever seen. Of course, we brought him in. Yeah. We loaned him back for the rest of the season, and then we brought him in the summer and loaned him back to Leeds. That season, Leeds loaned in 6 players. You can only have 5 in your squad. So there was always going to be one player there that wasn't going to get into that lead squad. And Jack Clarke was the unfortunate player that missed out. With so many other players on loan that were so pivotal to their first team, Clarke kind of as a rotation option just suffered from there. And of course, we recalled him from then early. He did well at Stoke. He did well at QPR. But certainly didn't set the world alight with either. But he did enough to kind of attract the interest from teams down there. And Nottingham Forest were interested over the summer. There was also talk of an unnamed club in Belgium. And kind of looking at things that had developed since then, I wouldn't be surprised if that was Standard Liège. And like I mentioned, Clarke wanted to stay and prove the point, but Nuno wanted him to go. Of course, irrelevant now. A few reports, Football League World, have said that Barnsley, Middlesbrough and Sheffield United are all interested in loaning Jack Clarke this January. So 3 teams that I think he could go and do a job at down there, get some more game time. But having said all that, we don't know what the squad looks like at the moment. He may start against Leicester tomorrow evening. We really don't know what players are available. And he was one of the 5 youth players that trained with the team before Hotspur Way closed last week. But on a broader sense, he hasn't lived up to the expectation. He hasn't lived up to the hype that I think was there when he brought him in. And the majority of Leeds fans that I talked to about this deal say they're absolutely delighted they got 15 million for him. At the time, they were a bit sceptical, but with the way things have panned out, of course, them getting their promotion and Clarke's struggles at Tottenham, they're happy with the money they got. And with every month that passes, it's kind of hard to look at Jack Clarke as a player who can realistically get into the Tottenham first team. I think given how he's playing with the youth side, he's got a consistent place in that team. Loaning him out right now, I'm not sure that's the best option because he's starting to find a bit of form. And although it's at a much lesser level, every time he hits form, if you loan him out, you're really going to stagnate that progress that he's making. So personally, I'd like to see him stay at the club for the rest of the year. Whether that's going to happen is a different story. I don't think we've really got any sort of an insight onto what Conte thinks about the player just yet. But hopefully he plays tomorrow against Leicester and bags a hat-trick.
Do you know what? I do hear what you're saying. For me, look, we got our pants absolutely pulled down, bent over, and spanked. We really did. I mean, 15 million. I just can't believe we got suckered into the deal. Look, 5-10 million, you'd say, okay, 50 million is a bit steep. But you know what it is with Jack Clarke? For me, I don't know whether you agree, but his body just hasn't developed. He hasn't developed to become maybe to be able to play at Premier League sort of level. He hasn't really put on any muscle or anything like that. And I mean, look, he got given a chance pre-season under Nuno, a couple of minutes. I thought it was god awful, to be honest with you. Look, for me, I just don't think there's any point to keeping him around. I don't see him ever breaking into the Tottenham team. I'm sorry to break your heart, Matty, but I would be looking to kind of cash in, see if you can get 10 to 15 million back, or even a loan with an option to buy on it. Come the end of the season. I just don't see it with the guy. I really don't. Look, as always, every player that's at Tottenham, I hope they prove me wrong. I just want the best for them. I want them to be out there playing week in, week out. But for me, I just don't see a pathway for him into the first team. Unless, like you said, Matty, with this COVID crisis going on, maybe he plays tomorrow, maybe he comes in, plays well, who knows. But if he doesn't get picked over this COVID crisis, I really don't see a way for him into the team, because I can only see us bringing in more and more players as the windows go on. And I just see him getting further and further away from realistically getting into the team.
Can I just mention... Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was going to say, to mention as well with Jack Clarke, as a young player coming into making a massive step up to a Premier League team, the fact that he's come in as soon as Tottenham's decline has started, that's not helped. You know, if he'd made that move 2-3 years ago and he's gone to a Liverpool who are hitting form, or to a West Ham who are looking better right now, the trajectory of his career would have been a lot different. It's a lot harder when you're coming into this sort of team. And kind of in a similar way as I was talking about Joe Rodon not really getting those chances at the back, when you're a team who at times has been struggling to score goals, you can't afford to bring in a player to try just to give him some minutes. And that's definitely affected his growth. But I fully agree, he's not lived up to expectation on a personal front as well.
I know, I fully agree with what you just said there. Excellent points there, to be fair, Matty. You know, he has come into a struggling team. But look, you know, as we see with so many of Steve Hitchens' signings, they've come into a struggling team and just have not improved it. But look, only time will tell when it comes to Jack Clarke. Everybody do let us know what you would do with Jack Clarke in the comments. Sell, loan, or keep in the under-23s and let him build up the confidence. The ball on Duty says, would you be open to offer Ali plus cash for St. Maximin to Newcastle, or exchange Ali for Emi Buendia with Aston Villa due to lack of funds? Well, look, we'll pass this over to Matty and then we'll go to Jack, of course. But Matty, like as well, maybe you can maybe give your thoughts on the January transfer window quick along with this. Like, how do you think it's going to go? Will it be more swap players or loan to buy options, or do you see cash being spent because they have had fans back in the stadium?
Yeah, it's an interesting point, and it's one that I think, rather than looking at Tottenham or Conte, I think if we're going to talk about this, you need to look at Fabio Paratici. And something he's kind of enjoyed to do quite a bit throughout his career is those swap deals. And you look back at when we brought Brian Hill in over the summer, it was Eric Lamela plus a lot of money, which in hindsight is really scary. But he made that offer for Jules Koundé as well. Davinson Sanchez involved in that one. Even back in his time at Juventus, that now infamous Arthur and Pjanic swap deal. It's something he likes to do. And as DeBotum there says, due to a lack of funds, it could be a way for Tottenham to start some movement this window, because Football Insider have been saying Paratici is looking to make this the biggest January transfer window in Tottenham's history, with as many as 10 players coming in and out. If that's going to happen, I think this structure of a deal is one that Tottenham will really, really be looking for to just start that movement. With regards to the two ones you presented there, Ali plus cash for St. Maximin, I'm not entirely sold on St. Maximin. I saw a comment there a while ago saying he won't leave Newcastle, and I think that is a very important point, because you can see just the relationship he has with those fans, with the way Newcastle are struggling right now, trying to keep up and potentially on an upward trajectory to maybe getting into Europe in the coming years. It may be a difficult time for him to leave it, but I'd say he's a very similar player in that he runs really, really fast and does not much, very similarly to Adama Traore. If I had to pick one of those, I would go with St. Maximin. Exchanging Ali for Buendia, Very talented player, really good playmaker, but he's struggling to really get going with Aston Villa. So maybe he's just a bit too raw with a move to a new Premier League club there. So I'd probably steer clear of that one. But anyway, they get Ellie out of the club this summer, gets a thumbs up from me.
Absolutely love it. Jack, I'll hand over to you. You know, the walking crayon plus cash for St. Maximin or Emi Buendia. Do you think maybe we should go for any of these or avoid at all costs?
I think that was a good point actually raised, from Matt about St. Maximin. He probably does enjoy being kind of, the cult hero over there at, Newcastle. He's very beloved. He can't really do any wrong over there. He basically does everything for them over in that attack as well. But let's say Newcastle do get relegated, which is seeming more likely every match that goes by. Would he stick by them, in the championship, Dave? I mean, of course, they probably might come right back up, but will he want to undergo that? Will he really want to stick by for that project? Only he knows. Only he knows. And so maybe that gives a bit of hope potentially that we could probably sign him in the January window, especially if it does look very imminent that they do go down this season. If you're able to sell a pack of crayons plus cash, in order to get him in, Dave, that would be absolutely spectacular. I feel like, though, since he is such a huge player for them, such a crucial player for them, especially getting him in January, Dave, you probably have to offer really big money, because you sell Dele Alli maybe just to fill a void, I guess, over there. But then you probably still have to offer, I'm not too sure, but maybe another 30 million, 40 million, because we all know Newcastle as well. They're not in the position where they're desperate for cash as well, Dave. So you probably have to throw, a lot of money at them in order for them to take it. And maybe St. Maximin, if he was aware of the deal, would probably have to push for it himself. So a lot of moving parts, I feel like, when it comes to that one. And then Emi Buendia, he just made that move to Aston Villa, so it does seem a bit unlikely. He's not really doing too well over there, I would say, from what I've seen. And also is kind of in and out of the squad at times. Even under Steven Gerrard, he seems a little bit in and out of the squad. So maybe we just keep an eye on over there and see how he kind of finishes out the season. And maybe you could put a bid in him for summer, but I don't know, Dave. He did just move there. So for St. Maximin, I feel like a lot of moving parts. I would certainly take him, though. I actually really love watching St. Maximin. He's definitely a ticket seller. He's definitely someone that everybody would want to see play. He does have, decent end product at the end of the day as well. So probably a much better version of maybe what Adama Traore does, because he's great at skinning men, just like Adama is, but has much better creativity, much better finishing, much better end product. But like I said, you would have to offer a lot of cash, and you would have to also guarantee that he actually wants to move to Spurs, because like Matty said, he probably does like, all the attention and all the love he gets from Newcastle fans.
Yeah, no, 100%. 100%. And plus, he gets fined every day over there for wearing his Gucci or something like that, isn't it? They don't like them wearing it around the training ground or something, but he wears it and pays the fine. Moondog says, maybe if we can sell Dele, Winks, Ndombele and Rodon, and then there's a bit of money for a couple of upgraded players. Moondog, we will be getting into that just a little bit later on, maybe players that we can ship out. But look, I'll take this one. Look, for me, I mean, they're all names on the chopping block as far as I'm concerned. If we do want to raise money, I mean, look, I'd be happy if we had, say, a Dusan Vlahovic lined up and we had 40 million ready cash available and they wanted an extra 30. I'd be happy to do a quick fire sell on the belly, take the 30 million, add it, go and get someone else in. With a midfielder, I mean, you will be able to pull in someone on loan if you want to go down the Dusan Vlahovic route. When it comes to Winks, look, everybody knows my feeling on him. I'm not even going to grate on the guy anymore. I'm not even going to talk about him anymore after today. I mean, for me, look, he's had so many chances. I mean, I'm not giving him any. I know there's people out there that want to keep giving him a chance. But, I mean, it's honestly, what's the definition in insanity? Keep trying the same thing, expecting different results. It's just, for me, the guy has to go. Dele Alli, I mean, look, he just needs to stop, modeling clothes and doing all this other stuff outside of football, part-time Ironman, part-time boo-hoo model. For me, look, just concentrate on your football. He clearly doesn't want to do it. I would definitely sell him, and along with Rodon. And there's players there, providing you have the cover. What I would say is I'd rather have the signing in the door before we let any more go out the door, just because I'd rather it be like that. It's safer for us. But look, I mean, definitely all options to be able to create a bit of cash. That's for sure, Moondog. And Emily Dunn says, great stream, lads. Big up, Emily. Really appreciate the support. Really appreciate it. Everybody. Keep getting them super chats in, guys. Keep getting your questions in for Matty and Jack. But look, you would take Matty Hayes out of his pain. We'll stop talking about Jack Clarke. And we'll go into Brandon Austin and Alfie Whiteman. Look, as far as I'm aware, I'm not Whiteman. He was either on loan or else his loan's finished and he's due back anyway. He was out on loan in Sweden, and Austin spent the past year out on loan over in Jackland with Orlando City in the MLS. Now, obviously, we're going to need to keep one of these around to be number 3 choice keeper. I'm just going to go quickly. I prefer to keep Alfie Whiteman around. I mean, he'll go onto the homegrown list nicely, which means we can then sell Harry Winks, which would be absolutely fantastic. But look, Jack, what one would you keep as number 3, and then what one would you loan out?
I guess I haven't seen enough of Brandon Austin to really make a conclusion on him. Alfie Whiteman, from what I've seen and what I've heard, is that he's playing a lot of games over in Sweden, Dave, which is, at any level just is a good sign. And also, Dave, from those kind of preseason friendlies, he didn't actually have too bad of a game. I forget who it was against, but I do a decent spell, in that preseason friendly that we played. He didn't look half bad, actually, because he made like 1 or 2 saves, kind of embarrassingly had to make 1 or 2 saves against, pretty dismal. I think it was Leyton Orient or Colchester that we played. And, he actually had to make a save, which is kind of sad. But, he seemed, pretty decent for that one. Like you just said, Dave, he would fit the homegrown quota quite well and would be able to, come into the side, and that way we could then ship on one of the deadweight sort of homegrown players that we have, and get in somebody else. I would probably go for Whiteman, just like you, Dave. And Brandon Austin, I can't really make too much of a statement on him. It's hard to say what's better experience, the Swedish League or the MLS. I don't really rate either. So, I guess maybe I'm just going to go for Whiteman, Dave.
Yeah, interesting. Same as me. Matty, who would you keep around as number 3 and who would you loan out?
Yeah, look, it's a tough decision. I think that the point you made there on the Alfie Whiteman kind of fitting that homegrown list probably does make a bit more of an impact than I'd like to admit. Just looking at their stats and their loan moves, Brandon Austin was with Orlando from January to July. He played 5 games in the MLS and conceded 8. Also, he trained with the first team last week. And with regards to this season, he's spent a lot of time on our bench in the Europa Conference League and EFL Cup, but he hasn't got a minute of football to his name this season. Alfie Whiteman is still on loan at Degerfors in Sweden. He'll be back at the end of this month. So New Year's Eve, his loan expires there. Not the best look for him in his time there. He's made 13 league appearances, conceding 24 with Degerfors. They're 13th in the table, which is 2 points above the relegation playoff spaces there. So not the best look there. He's 23 years of age, so a bit older than I think some people really realise with a third choice goalkeeper there. Yeah. And I think something like that could be a decisive factor in who Tottenham keep as the third choice, because yes, you want quality there if you do need to bring a player in, but also you want maybe someone who can make a step up later on in his career. And at the age of 23, maybe the ship has sailed for Alfie Whiteman. But Brandon Austin, a good talent, good prospect. And even if it is just to play devil's advocate, I think I'd keep Brandon Austin as that third choice. And maybe if Degerfors want to make that Whiteman deal permanent in January, maybe that's a route that we could. That's
convincing argument.
Thank you.
Yeah, good argument. But look, I want Harry Winks gone first. He's older, so we keep Alfie Whiteman's age hidden a little bit longer. Kuva99 says, in Andy Carroll on a free, and in he wants Brian Daigle at the gate. Absolutely love it. No, definitely. Get the two of them in. Get the two of them in. Oh, absolutely love it, Kuva. Absolutely love it.
If we had Whiteman, though, and Andy Carroll, it'd be hard to tell them apart, actually, when you think about it. They both are very tall and rock the man bun as well, Dave, so it'd be hard to tell them apart.
Yeah, they're both inspired by Tarzan, that's for sure. But big up, Kuva. Really appreciate the support, my man. Really appreciate the support. Another player that we'll get into is actually a player I actually really like, Harvey White. And look, he has not managed to get minutes for the first team this season, despite making the bench 3 times in the Europa Conference League, which I'm absolutely gutted about because I'm a big fan of the kid. He's now 20. He's a central midfielder, but can also double up as a left back. He is unlikely to get game time after Christmas between now and the rest of the season, barring maybe we get more of this COVID. He probably won't see any sort of first team action. Now, I think it was January last year, I think we loaned him out to Portsmouth, if I'm correct. But look, he plays a lot at the under-23 level. He is too good for the under-23 level. He's already got 7 goals and 7 assists this season. He's been nominated for November's Premier League 2 Player of the Month award. And look, for me, I just think he needs another loan move. Matty, what sort of club would you put Harvey White to now this time out if we are going to loan him out? What sort of level would you be looking to get him out to?
Look, he was very good, very, very good in the League One for Portsmouth last year. They got to the Papa John's Trophy final, whatever it's called. We cover that at work. We call it the Coupe de la Pizza. Absolutely love it. Got them to the final of that and got them very, very close to promotion with Portsmouth. And he was a very important player for them. Bagged a couple of goals. I just note as well, another player took part in training last week at Hotspur Wade with the first team. Given how much he impressed at Portsmouth last season, I'm surprised we haven't gone a similar route in trying to get him out this season and getting him in, if it is a top of the League One team or trying to move him up to the Championship, just making that step by step, getting him up to a higher level. And if you're looking at players that we have loaned out, you mentioned Jamie Bowden earlier in the stream. He's on loan at Oldham Athletic, who are possibly one of the worst teams I've ever seen play football, right down at the bottom of League Two. But Bowden is doing well, scored an incredible goal against Exeter a couple of weeks ago. That's an important experience for players to get down and really get first team football, whether a team is like it was with White at the top of the league or like it is with Bowden at the bottom of the league. They're both very good experiences for them to get. And look, maybe it's the case with Harvey White that he's playing mainly as a centre midfielder. And I think in the Tottenham system, there's a very specific job that you need to do in there, whether it's the Højbjerg and skip role or what we're hoping will be a number 10 further up the pitch after January. So maybe it's a case of now that he has that talent, he has that first team experience, maybe trying to weld him into the player that Tottenham need by keeping him within our system and keep him playing within very certain criteria and a very certain position. Maybe that's the thinking behind it. If it is, fair enough. But I was a bit surprised that we weren't actively trying to loan him out in the summer.
Yeah, I was surprised, to be fair. Maybe he was held back with maybe playing Europa Conference League. It just didn't happen that way because of Harry Winks and Lo Celso and players like that couldn't do the job. So my Harvey had to wait, which is absolutely pissing me off. But Jack, Harvey White, would you keep him around with the crisis that we're going through at the minute, or do you think it would hamper his development? Get him out on loan again, and maybe a bit like a Skip situation. Hopefully, he impresses and then comes back to challenge next season.
That's what it is right there, Dave. I want him to follow in the same footsteps as maybe Skippy does, which means I want him basically to get into this first team as soon as possible, but consistently maybe into this first team as soon as possible, which I think then means, Dave, we're going to have to send him out on loan to some sort of club that will give him lots of playing time and will give him lots of minutes and experience. And so you probably have to send him out on loan, because in order for him to get into this first team, to be able to be challenging for spots consistently, to be always kind of considered for selection, he's going to have to go out on loan, get a bit of experience, show, the club that, he is worth keeping around. And as well, showing, that he can do it for maybe a lower level side with, players that maybe aren't as talented. And if he's able to lead them like Skippy did over for the Canaries, Dave, then I feel like then we just bring him back, just like the same scenario. And then hopefully he can challenge for a first team spot like Skippy does. I wanted him to follow in the exact same footsteps, Dave. So that unfortunately means he's going to have to go out on loan, and we're going to have to part ways with him, even though I absolutely love Harvey White, just like you do, Dave. We're just going to have to see him go out on loan, and hopefully he can, prove, that he deserves to be back in this team.
No, 100%. And I look, this is what pissed me off over the last couple of years. I think, look, we've lost Dennis Sarkin, who I think, I believe probably would have took his chance given it. I really like Dennis Sarkin. We've lost him. I just hope we don't end up losing Harvey White as well. I'd much rather have him in and around as a backup than a Harry Winks and Endon Belly or Lo Celso or anyone that's there at the minute who are not pulling their weight. But look, hopefully we can get him out on loan. Hopefully he can have a magnificent season, get him back next year, and hopefully, he can hit the ground running at Tottenham. The bottom do it says, would you rate Serie A or Bundesliga? Look, for me, quickly, I'll be honest with you, I like both at the minute. But if I have to, if I preferred one over the other, I'd probably go Serie A. I probably would just be tipped by Serie A. I like what's coming out of there at the minute. I really do. Jack?
I'll give a professional answer, then a biased answer. Professional answer would be they're going to be Bundesliga for me, but the professional answer, Dave, is what Maddie said before. What we've said before. We're kind of looking for more younger talent that we can sell on for big money later. You would say that there's probably much better younger talent potentially in the Bundesliga at this moment in time. There's a lot of great young talent over there. It would fit more of the Paratici kind of build. It would fit Levy's kind of idea of buying players now to be able to sell them on for big bucks later. So I could at least personally say there's definitely fantastic young talent in the Bundesliga at this moment in time. And then, and the other kind of more biased answer I would give, Dave, I would say the Bundesliga is more similar to the Premier League than the Serie A is similar to the Premier League. The Bundesliga is very fast, very high pressing, very intense, very, high fitness levels and things like that, Dave. Very quick passing, all the things that kind of are somewhat similar to the Premier League. So though I would argue maybe that someone from the Bundesliga can make an easier sort of transition to the Premier League than maybe someone from the Serie A.
No, the bottom do it. There's Jack's answer. There's my answer, Matty. What's your answer?
I love this question because I was actually, just before I came up, I was thinking of a point in the Bundesliga and I was trying to figure out how to work it in. But firstly, I massively agree with Jack there. I think the quality of the Bundesliga is something that is very, very underrated. I think it's because when you put a German team up against an English team, at the very top level, the German team usually wins out. But kind of if you're looking at the kind of the mid-level, maybe Europa League teams like West Ham up against the German equivalent, usually West Ham would win out in that. But I think the quality within the Bundesliga is a lot better than people give it credit for. I've seen quite a few Liverpool fans today, and this is what I wanted to say, talking about Taiwo Awoniyi. I've definitely butchered that pronunciation, but he's a player who was in the academy for Liverpool for 4, 5, 6 years. He's a striker. Never really got the chance. They decided to ship him out to Union Berlin. And all of a sudden, he's the 4th highest goal scorer in the Bundesliga this season with 9 behind Lewandowski, Patrick Schick and Haaland. So Liverpool fans there saying this proves the Bundesliga is a farmers league. I wouldn't quite agree with that. But on the answer to this question, Paratici and Conte know the Serie A like the back of their hand. They know it better than anybody else. They know these talents that are in there. They know the kind of absolutely. They know the best academies, where the best players are produced, what to look out for and all this. On a very general front, I'd rather go Bundesliga, but what we have at the club right now, get every player you want in this area. And I think Fabrizio Romano said it before, it's the Italian revolution at Tottenham. And I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Love it when there you are, the bottom. Let us know what you want to pick the bottom. The Serie A or Bundesliga after the boys' expert answers. Let me know what one you're playing to. Crocodile says, am I the only one who thinks Adama Traore would be a good grab if the money is right? If we still had Nuno, I'd be against it, but a Conte trained Adama could be lethal right wing back maybe. Do you know what, Crocodile? I was actually having this discussion with Sean Butler yesterday. For me, I just think he's a bodybuilder version of Lucas Moura. I mean, they both do the same job for me. They both pick up the ball from one end of the pitch and get you to the other. But it's the end product where my problem is with this guy and with Lucas Moura. For me, I'll be honest with you, I don't want to blow another 30, 40, 50 million. We already have Lucas Moura to do that. We already have Bergwijn. If you want to, if it's a skill you like, I mean, we could just roll Bergwijn off the bench for 5 minutes and do one of his little flicks like he did against Wolves. For me, we have too many of them similar players that have not worked out on a Tottenham team. You need more of a technical winger like Son is, someone that's technical, more technical. He has the end product. He can pass, he can shoot. So for me, I'll be honest with you, I'll be staying away from Adama Traore. That's just my opinion. But everyone, do let me know. Do you think he is a bit similar to Lucas Moura? And we'll go to Matty first on this one.
If there was one transfer that I could put an embargo on, or just if there's a button I could press that prevents one player from joining Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, in a heartbeat, it is Adama Traore. This man, I kind of touched him with St. Maximin earlier. He's an absolute monster. An absolute monster. If he was running at me in the street, I'd just sit down and beg and apologize and ask him to go away. But he has no end product. He can run past players for fun all day long. I think he's 7 goals in over 130 appearances in the Premier League. That's 2 goals and 2 assists in 37 appearances last season. It's all well and good being able to bring the ball from your own back corner to the front corner. But if you're then launching it out for a throw-in at the opposite side when you try to cross it, or you're passing the ball to the keeper when you try to take a shot, there's no good. It's no good, and there's absolutely no benefit from that. I do agree that a Conte-trained Adama at right wing-back could be a little bit different, but there's nothing that he's done in his time at Barcelona, at Middlesbrough, at Wolves that really leads me to believe that he's worth 35 or 40 million, which I think we would be forced to pay. So for me, absolutely no thank you.
Sorry to shatter your dreams, Crocodiles, but maybe Jack might pick them back up again. I'm not sure, Jack.
I think at a right wing back is actually a huge waste if you were to get him, because David, I do believe to this day he still dribbles past more players than any other player across Europe. So he has I think something close to over 6. It might be near 6 or a bit under 6 players dribble pass per 90, which is just kind of ridiculous when you think about it in those terms. But that's really all he's good at. It's just kind of like you said, the kind of Lucas Moura factor. He's just really good at skinning past his man and then basically doing nothing at the end of it. So I would say he is you should just keep him up top. You shouldn't put him at right wing back. And the reason why, Dave, is because his delivery is also terrible. Like I've seen him hit it over the last man, hit it over, somebody's head countless times. He really has no delivery. So it's actually kind of a waste to put him out at right wing back. He's not the greatest defensively either. So I feel like if you were to get him, but don't put him at right wing back, put him up at right wing or left wing and see what he can do. But I agree with Matty. I feel like it's just 30-40 million. Just ridiculous, just such a huge waste of money. I would probably get him for, if which is not possible, I'd probably pay 10 to 20 million for him. And that's just because maybe you could use that kind of sort of dribbling ability and find something in there to possibly get him to finish more, or just at least pass it off to Harry Kane or like something like that for Harry Kane to finish it. But yeah, Dave, at least no. Like a great answer for Matty, much better answer than I'm giving. But he does dribble past more players than across any other player in Europe's top 5 leagues, though, which just you have to respect that.
Yeah, and Usain Bolt was the fastest runner in the world, but I mean, doesn't mean they're any good at football, that's for sure. But Crocodile, I'm sorry, do not order your Dama Traore Tottenham jersey for Christmas. Hold off on that, my man. Big up, Crocodile. Really appreciate the support. And the Truth Sets You Free says, Andy Reid retro jersey for Shamu. Happy holidays. Making me jealous, man. You're bringing back glory days. I used to love Andy Reid. I used to love him. A bit overweight, a bit like Maradona in a way. Bit overweight, but classy. Classy on the ball. Big up Andy Reid. I might actually write to him, see if he wants to come on the channel maybe. That's what I should do. But big up the Truth Sets You Free. And the boat will do it. says, Siri, Dave, any truth about this Singo rumours? I don't even know what Singo is, to be honest with you, or who he is, or anyone.
No, not
I don't know.
Let me know what you're talking about, the bottom or the bottom. Do let me know what you're talking about, Mr. Duta. But look, one more player I do want to touch on and he's absolutely on fire right now in the under-23s, and it is Dylan Markande, Matty, the 20-year-old British / Asian winger. First to play for Tottenham as well. First Asian to play for Tottenham, British Asian to play for Tottenham as well when he came off the bench in Europa Conference League that time. Matty, what do you think Tottenham would be looking to do with McCandy? Keep him around in the under-23s, or maybe send him out on loan and see how he does?
I'm never one to really get carried away with myself. But Lionel Messi's record of 7 Ballon d'Ors is at risk here. And Dylan Markande, he's coming for it. He's doing incredibly well with the Premier League 2 team. He's 11 goals and 5 assists in 13 games. Made, of course, his debut for the first team away to Vitesse. I think he's one that I maybe think it is definitely in that bracket that I suggested Harvey White maybe, in that they're trying to mould a certain player out of him. And it's a very particular role that wingers have to play in this Tottenham team. And it kind of started interestingly with Jose, and it's really, really continuing on with Conte, where you're a winger, but you play very narrow. And you at sometimes essentially play as 2 centre forwards behind the striker. And Dylan Markande, who's a player who has a lot of pace, has a lot of agility. Does he have the ability to step in there? Does he have that nous to really pick up those spaces in between the lines? I'm not sure if he has that yet. That's not a criticism. That's not a concern. It's just where we are right now in terms of his development. I don't think he's at that level where he can make that step up right now. But if there's any player that I want to try and mould to go in and maybe take that place off Lucas in a year or two, I think Markande is a very, very, very good player to put in there. And perhaps because of that, loaning him out could be quite risky.
Interesting. Very good answer there, Matty. Jack, where would you stand on Dylan Markande?
It's really hard to say whether like loaning him out, like kind of Matty said, would be a risk. I'd like to always say that maybe it's always good experience for a player, especially if they can, maybe play for a team, Dave, where they wouldn't have the best of service, where they kind of have to create for themselves and kind of be able to kind of be their own kind of marksman. Maybe Markande could kind of do well with that sort of experience. But at the same time, though, I feel like he's so talented at this moment, Dave, a bit like Scarlett, maybe to a degree, where you just kind of maybe just let him just continue to grow, with the kind of Spurs, first team, maybe eventually get him into the first team a bit more often, see how he does with that, and just maybe try to eventually let him grow into the team. Almost kind of Mason Greenwood, maybe ask Dave. He could be a bit like our Mason Greenwood or something like that, where it's like maybe, like Matty said, loaning him out could be a bit too risky because who knows, maybe in like a season or two, he could be at those sort of Greenwood levels, or I hate to say it, Bukayo Saka kind of levels as well, where you just kind of take him in, pull him into the squad and just see if he can challenge for the first team and maybe just not risk, maybe hurting his confidence or, his ability by putting him in a lower league. So yeah, Dave, I'd say maybe keep him around, but I also advocate sometimes for loans because I think it could be a good experience for a player. It kind of can be a bit humbling for them. It doesn't let maybe any of the prospects get to their head. And they also have to play with players that aren't as talented as them, which sometimes is a good experience for players, to be able to work on their own game with players that aren't as good as them. So I could go both ways, but I say you kind of maybe treat him like Dane Scarlett, Dave, where you actually kind of let him just continue to grow in confidence, surrounded by the first team, surrounded by players that are role models for them. And then eventually they might come into the team a bit similar to maybe someone like a Mason Greenwood did.
Yeah, no, absolutely interesting.
Or Phil Foden,
Look, he's got 11 goals, 7 assists, so I definitely think he could play that inside winger role in the main team. And look, he keeps doing what he's doing. If I was him, right now, being on hot form, if I was genuinely was him, I would hedge my bets and I would stay around Tottenham till the end of the season and see if I could grab a couple of minutes here or there, to try and impress. That's what I would do because, I'd say he's close enough right now. Moondog, this is off subject, but what is the name of your chair you're using, David? As I'm after a new one, as my fat arse keeps going numb. ADX with a fire logo. I don't know. I'll be honest with you.
You want Sean Butler's chair, Moondog. You want Sean Butler's chair. That's what you want, Moondog.
Yeah.
That's what you want. It's got the beautiful crest on the back. I believe it's kind of white and, blue as well, Dave. It's just, it's prime. And I think Sean Butler a million times has said where he's gotten it, but we just keep forgetting each time as well. But Moondog, just look for the Spurs gaming chair. That's what I would say.
Yeah, that's the one I would be getting, to be honest with you, Moondog. But honestly, this sort of stuff, I leave to the missus. I just tell her what I need, and then she goes and gets it at the very best price possible. So, wherever she got it, I'll find out, and I'll let you know next stream, Moondog. The bottom dude, sorry, I meant Wilfried Singo.
I looked him up on FB Ref, Dave. He's 20 years old, Ivorian international or Ivory Coast international, Dave. He's kind of killing it at this rate, David, especially it seems like he's very good going forward. He has the most dribbled past numbers for any fullback in the Serie A. He skins past at least 2.2 players per 90. He's already has 1 goal and 2 assists as a fullback as well. He seems very good on the ball, Dave. He seems very good at dribbling past players. His defensive numbers are okay. Not really that great, actually, when I think about it. And he plays for Torino. So that's what I can offer. Somebody maybe just to keep an eye on, maybe, especially it seems like he's good going forward. So could be a good alternative to someone like an Emerson who maybe is a bit better defensively than going forward.
Now, there you have it, the bottom do. I hope you enjoyed Jack's research on him. Matt B says 3 signings and 3 players to go. Big up Irish. Look, Matt B, we actually are moving into that next, but just quickly, 3 players to go. Harry Winks, Harry and Winks. So I want all that 3 of them gone. For me, 3 players in. I'd love Dusan Vlahovic. I'd love Sven Botman. And I'd love Sander Tonali as well. They'd be my 3 players that I'd bring in, to be honest with you, Matt B. Look, Matty, you can go quickly, and Jack, you can go quickly because we are going into that segment now.
3 signings. Alessandro Bastoni.
Good taste.
I can't think of other players that are actually genuinely good enough targets. Give me Bastoni. Give me
dream a 10. You got to dream a bit.
Give me a number 10 and give me a winger. I don't know exact players for that just yet, but those are the positions I think we need, if not even another centre back. 3 players to go: Dele Alli, Stephen Bergwijn, and I'll say Winks as well. Now,
there you have it, Matt B. Jacko, 3 players in, 3 players out.
No, same thing. Stephen Bergwijn, Dele Alli, Harry Winks out. Bastoni, I think if I had high taste, absolutely, I'd go for Bastoni too. Bruno Guimaraes from Olympique Lyon, I'd bring in. And then in terms of up top, Dave, we're dreaming a bit here. We're pulling stuff out the highest shelf, the finest wine. So I'd also go for Dusan Vlahovic as well.
Now, there you have it, Matt B. There you have it, my man. Big yourself up. Really appreciate support. Everyone else, keep smashing that like button. Keep smashing that subscribe button if you are new. And keep getting the super chats in and getting your questions in. It's a great way to help support the channel. But look, I think this is everyone's favorite section. I think this is what everyone has actually been waiting for. But Matty, look, we have certain positions we do need to strengthen. We'll start with we'll give the fans what they want, maybe create signings. So look, we definitely need to sign a creative midfielder, in my opinion. If not a creative midfielder, a deep line playmaker, aka Sandro Tonali, someone like that who I'll be signing. January, it would be 2 years since Christian Eriksen left Tottenham. In that time, we have failed to replace him, and a lack of creativity what has and probably still is, maybe not so much recently, but has been an absolute major issue. We've clearly lacked that sort of ball playing midfielder, that sort of playmaker, Matty. Look, we've tried with Lucas and stuff like that. Yeah, it does a job we get away with, but we really do need that midfielder, that player that can link the midfield to the forward line. In my opinion, I really do think we need that. Matty, what players do you think we'd be looking at in this area? And what players do you think do we actually have a strong interest in?
It's an interesting one at the moment. It's too hard to kind of look with too much optimism, too much hope, or kind of too much reliability with these reports, because we know that Conte is only really starting to discuss specific transfer targets with Tottenham now. Matt Law said it a couple of days ago. It's within these couple of days that Conte will really start to talk about the players that he wants. So I think over the next couple of days, next couple of weeks, we start to get a clearer look at that. But like you mentioned there, in terms of players that we need, I fully agree with you. We need a number 10, because the 3-4-3 is working well for us, but we need something to link up everything that's happening in there. Højbjerg and Skip, as good as they are at the jobs they do, they're not good enough at ball progression, and we can't rely entirely on Reguilon and Emerson as the wing backs to be those players to move that ball up the pitch. And we need number 10, someone to sit in there and really take things over. And a player that I think fits the kind of profile of what we're looking for is one that, given what's happened in the last week, is not going to happen. And it's Lovro Majer for Stade Rennais, an incredibly talented player, 23-year-old attacking midfielder. He's from Croatia, doing incredible things for Rennes this season. I think his stats don't really do him justice. He's got 4 assists and 1 goal in the Ligue 1, but he's so good in every aspect of his possession, in terms of dribbling, in terms of passing, in terms of shooting. He is so strong in there. And while I wouldn't say that's the exact player that I go for, look, he'd be up there on my list, as Adrian mentions there. He'd be on my list, high up on it, but that is exactly the type, the profile, the kind of demographic of player that we need to move for. And look, in terms of links with Lovro Majer, Amdu Match, where French outlet said Tottenham are the front runners within this one. But again, like I said, with what's happened with Rennes in the last week, I'm not sure that is one that is very likely to move ahead. A few more players there that Adrian mentioned. Dejan Kulusevski. I spoke about this on my channel a couple of weeks ago. I'm just going to scroll back here and see if I can find my notes on it real quickly, because he's a very interesting one. Plays with, of course, Juventus. Calcio Mercato have already said that Tottenham have actually opened preliminary talks with Juventus to sign Kulusevski, but only on loan with an option to buy. And Corriere dello Sport have also said Kulusevski is liked by both Tottenham and Arsenal, and the winger is on the list of players who can leave Juventus in January. So if you're looking at terms of how realistic that might be, a loan with an option to buy with Tottenham's current financial struggles may be a very good way for that to happen. It's a move that Tottenham have used quite a bit in the last couple of years. If you're looking at Carlos Vinicius, Giovanni Lo Celso, and of course at the moment Pierluigi Golini and Christian Romero. So it seems realistic. He's a player that he's still quite young, has kind of struggled to really get going at Juventus, but does have a lot of potential and could fit, kind of tick a lot of boxes that Tottenham are looking for, kind of more as a wide player at the moment. And Mikkel Damsgaard, who Adrian mentioned as well, a massive talent, impressed so much for Denmark over the summer at the Euros, and is doing great stuff for Sampdoria. Their president or chairman has actually said they're looking to move him on because essentially he's too good for the club, which is a weird way to do it. And he offered him, I think it was at the time, he offered him to Roma because he supports Roma, which is a really, really weird thing. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Damsgaard move on from Sampdoria, and I'd be happy if Tottenham were at the front of that queue.
Interesting. Look, for me, I'd love Kulusevski and I'd love Lovro Majer. But look, you're not here to hear my opinions today. So, Jacko, out of maybe what Matty has mentioned there, what player do you think would be value for money for Tottenham in terms of age, profile, sort of transfer fee? But as well, is there any players that maybe Matty has missed out on?
Yeah, I think, two-part answer. I think Lovro Majer is, like Matty said, just a very kind of under the radar, very underappreciated player. I've seen him play, actually weirdly a lot. I saw him play in kind of the Europa League, the Champions League, as well as I've seen him obviously at times, for Stade Rennes. And he is actually, I think one of his best attributes is that he just simply doesn't lose the ball. He actually has great touch. He has great ball carrying abilities, very, very creative as well. He's made a few Croatian, appearances as well, which is not, and especially especially in the midfield / attack, Dave, is not an easy team to break into when you think about it. That is not an easy team. You probably would have a better chance of being called up for the defense, I would say, for the Croatian national team, but certainly not the midfield, certainly not the front line. So he's made already a debut. He's already, I think, scored as well for them. And especially as well, I think his best attribute is simply his creativity and his ball carrying ability. He's very, very, very talented player on the ball. Even when we played against him, Dave, against Dinamo, he still, I thought, actually, from what I remember, played actually quite decently against us. What I remembered about him is that he just really had great ball retention. He knew how to play passes, to hold possession, especially for a team that was struggling to hold possession against us in the first leg too. He just seemed to have really, really great decision making. And also, again, I will say, is very good at skinning past his man and just, holding on to the ball and kind of keeping possession. So, that is something that we especially need. Dejan Kulusevski, I feel like what is very good about him is that he can play across the forward line. He can also play as kind of a striker and fill in there for Harry Kane if needed. And also kind of like Sonny does, where he can just play striker if need be. He doesn't, isn't just relegated to one position. A loan option to buy, like Maddie said, I think that's very realistic and probably the best way to go about it. I think I would easily take that, especially, if he doesn't impress, then you don't have to take him. But he probably would impress. And then if it's like, I don't know, 30 million, 25 million, it's probably a pretty fair deal and probably a good price that I would take him. I think, though, to answer the original question, though, Dave, I feel like we should go for more of that kind of ball carrying sort of midfielder, that box to box kind of midfielder, that Metsala role to a degree. Of course, we've been rumored with, players like Kessié and things like that, but I don't know. That seems more unrealistic by the day, getting someone like Kessié. But we should be looking for players kind of like that who can be a bit different to someone like a Højbjerg or a Wentz or Skippy, excuse me. They're more ball kind of winners, Dave. They're more kind of guys who know how to get stuck in and kind of be good defensively. But we need someone that can play alongside them, do the defensive work, but then also carry the ball forward and create. So I would go, obviously, primary would be Kessié. If not that, if you can't get someone like that, I feel like then you go after potentially, like I always say, Bruno Guimaraes. Renato Sanchez, though, I just looked up earlier today, Dave. His contract expires in 2023. You could potentially go after him. I know that Lille did move into, though, the next round of the Champions League, so that would probably be very difficult. But you could probably go for someone that I feel like is more of a ball-carrying midfielder that could fit into that central midfield role. Because then if you get that player, Dave, just to finish off, you can then play that 3-5-2 a bit more easily, because then you have, three central midfielders, Skippy, Højbjerg, and like a Kessié or a Renato Sanchez that can carry the ball forward and, form that 3-5-2 that we know Antonio Conte probably wants to play from time to time.
Since it seems the only thing I do here is crush dreams, I'm going to do it again. Frank Kessié, I will be absolutely flabbergasted, shocked if he joins Tottenham this January.
Yeah, it's not, and I know it's not happening.
It's not. I know I mentioned this on the channel a couple of weeks ago, David. AC Milan at the moment are a point behind Inter Milan at the top of the Serie A Championship, potentially on for their first title in 13, 14 years. They were top of the league at this stage last year and messed it up from there. They're not selling. And they're not selling anybody. And if it is a question of taking 10 or 15 million in January or letting Kessié go for free in the summer, they're taking that hit every single day of the week. And Gianluca Di Marzio said the same thing. He said Kessié could be an option for Tottenham, but not in January. So I hope I'm wrong on this one, and I'd absolutely love it if I am proven wrong, but I think we should put Kessié on the back burner until the summer.
No, interesting. And Matty, what do you know about Kavice Kvaratskhelia?
It's a name I haven't heard since the summer, I'll be honest. A good talent, one who has struggled this season. I know for an absolute fact there was interest from Tottenham over the summer, and I know that because Kvaratskhelia agent said it. He said in the summer there's a very good chance that the player will be leaving Ruben Kazan, and he said he could confirm there was strong interest from Tottenham, and I know Alistair Gold and Sky Sports reported the very same. Of course, for whatever reason, that move didn't happen. No move happened for the player. He's still at Ruben Kazan. It's not been a great season for him. He has more yellow cards than he has goal contributions, with 1 goal and 3 assists in 15 games in the Russian league. I think he was a player who maybe was just going through a purple patch and he needed a move back then. And I think maybe now his time has passed, not permanently. He's still only 20 years of age. But in terms of an immediate move for Tottenham, I'd be very surprised if that's one that they do revisit in January.
No, interesting. There you are,
No,
Sean.
Dave, I have to say, I did a flat cap review on the guy. I
Oh,
absolutely love
yes.
Kavicha. He's one of my favorite players. It like my favorite obscure player list. He is like my number one, Dave. This guy is one of the silkiest, sexiest players to ever watch. I agree with Maddie. He's not having a great season at the moment, but he is absolutely beautiful to watch, Dave. He just dribbles past players in slow motion, almost Zidane style, just dribbles past players in slow motion, is beautiful to watch. I did a review on him on the second channel, Dave. And also, I mean, something like, since I know the Georgian kind of nationals, they all kind of, follow their players. The moment that I did a review on him as well, they loved it. And, they thanked me every day for it. So I would say Kavicha, he has a special place in my heart.
There you are, Sean Snow. Hope you enjoyed that, my man. Amir Sadar says, thoughts on Manor Solomon. He has scored goals in the Champions League, already a star player on the national team. He has huge potential. And you guys know about him?
Yeah, the Shakhtar Donetsk Israeli international, Dave. He's plays kind of right wing, is kind of more of a creative kind of right winger. He plays for Shakhtar Donetsk, has been there for some time. He might be 19 or 20 years old, maybe 21 years old. I've seen a lot of Shakhtar. He looks really good at times. Sometimes he doesn't look so great, but he's like a creative kind of right winger, Dave. Kind of different to Lucas in that he doesn't, he has more of kind of that number 10 kind of style instead of just dribbling past player after player after player, kind of, into blind alleys. He's a bit more kind of keeps his head up, tries to play players in behind. He's basically a very good creative right winger, also Israeli international.
Never heard of him. I might actually do a bit of looking into him. So I might actually later on. Never heard of him. Interesting. I love these shows. You learn so much every day. William Kelly says, I'm big up on me. I really appreciate the super chat. I hope you enjoy Jack's answer, my man. I hope you enjoy Jack's answer. William Kelly says, Matty, are Lewis and Levy going to F this up for Conte with the lack of funds?
I've gotten this question quite a bit over the last month and a half since Antonio Conte came in. Look, what I will say is yes and no. Yes, in that the funds that Conte's had at previous clubs is not going to be there. But no, in that Conte seems to have known that before he came in. Again, like I said, he made those comments a few weeks ago where he said he knows exactly what Tottenham can and can't do in the transfer window. Maybe it's just a new challenge for him, a different type of project that he wanted to take on to try and prove himself in a different way. But it's Tottenham. That's what I'd say. It's Tottenham.
There you have it, William. There you have it. Yeah, look, we'll wait and see. It's all we can do, I suppose. It's all we can do. But big up, William Kelly. Good to see you in the building. I hope you're keeping well, my man. Hope the young lad Luke is keeping well as well, brother. Kuva99 says it would be great to unveil some megastar signings on January 1st. I just think we'll see them announced on April 1st to go with the Jimmy Grave statue. Yeah, spot on, my man. Absolutely spot on. Yeah, no, I don't think we'll see any sort of megastars. I'd love if there was, but I'd love to see a Dusan Vlahovic come in. But look, I just fail to see why we wouldn't try and do one or two bits a piece of business just to try and help push this over the line until the summer window where we can maybe do a bit of serious business. We'll definitely do something shortly. I mean, if we don't, I'll be absolutely livid. I might even go one further than Dagan and just chain myself to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, to be honest with you, because it really would piss me off. But big up, Kuva. Surely we're going to do business, Kuva. Surely. Don't be putting me in that mindset, my man. Don't be putting me in that mindset. Big up, Kuva. And the truth sets you free says, imagine Insigne is number 24. Stop teasing me like he's coming. No, he's not coming, my man. He's not coming. Nowhere near. I don't want him either. I don't think he's that great, to be honest with you. I actually think he's overrated. I really do. I think he's overrated. If I was pulling someone, I know they're a bit different position, but I'd rather get like a Federico Chiesa or someone like that rather than pull out an Insigne.
Yeah, he's a lot older. He's honestly pretty old at this rate, Insigne. But Insigne, I think, has been close to the top scorers list in the Serie A for year after year after year. So I would say, bit more respect on his name, but I agree in terms of the age difference. Like he's just a bit past it at this rate. I think he's like 31, maybe 30, maybe a bit younger than that. But I would go for Chiesa as well. But Insigne has been close to top scorer lots of times in Serie A.
Yeah, but the Serie A has only come good like the last 3-4 years. Before that was absolutely dross. So it was absolutely.
You gave the answer. You go for Serie A earlier, Dave. If you had to rate one. So.
Yeah, now, Serie A Bundesliga. I like what's coming out of there now. But 4 years ago, 5 years ago, Serie A was absolutely crap. was so crap. I mean, honestly, my granddad would have been top scorer there, to be fair. He really would have. The bottom dude says, would you get McKennie, Berardi, or Castrovilli? McKennie, yeah, I'd definitely take him in. I mean, with McKennie, I'd probably do a loan, see what he's like, see if he comes in, does the business, and then maybe go for the transfer. Berardi, nah, not for me, to be honest with you. And I'll be honest, I don't know anything about Castrovilli. To be honest with you, the bottom do it. Matty, Jack, do you know anything about Castrovilli?
I only know is he plays for Fiorentina. All I know is he plays for Fiorentina. I could look him up on FBref, but then I would just be learning about him for the first time. All I know is he plays for Fiorentina. I would go for Berardi, Dave, but I know he's a bit of a hothead and is very good right winger, though, but he is a bit of a hothead. McKennie's a bit of a hothead, though, as well. So, like, kind of tough choices. So I'd probably go for McKennie, though, just to talk about, you know, what I said, Dave, that ball-carrying sort of midfielder, that box-to-box midfielder. I'd go for McKennie.
Now, there you have it, the bottom. William Kelly says, great, thanks, Matty. I'm off to crying to a corner to cry my eyes out.
That's what I'm here for. Crushing trees left, right, and centre.
He's been doing it from minute one, William. He's been doing it from minute one, so he has.
Well, what else could I do when I've been asked to talk about Tottenham transfers? It's only going to be...
He wants us to
Everyone looks forward to seeing what Matty has to say, and then he ultimately come out with the dreams ripped apart. Absolutely love it.
I give too many false promises. I think that's what it is. You know, I built up everybody to think that we can go after these players. Then Matty comes in, and, you know, honestly, he's playing like it's like good cop, bad cop when it comes to transfers, honestly.
Definitely is. William Kelly says lack of investment equals no trophies. Yeah, I could not agree more with that, to be fair. Look, we've already seen that. My man, compared to what other Premier League clubs and that, you can already see it. So, William Kelly, you know, look, it's only a few more days to the January transfer window, and then he can have hope again. My man. But big up, William. But look, let's keep this moving along. Another area, Matty, I want to talk to you about is a new centre-back. Look, we did strengthen at centre-back in the summer with Romero arriving from Atlanta, but now Romero has a serious injury. Look, Conte kind of said the new year, people are saying January, but my opinion, I don't think you'll see him till at least February, maybe March. It could be an area we need to sign in again, despite despite Conte actually getting the best out of Dyer and Davies, to be fair. You know, but look, all these defenders, they still have a mistake in them. Rodon potentially could be on his way out on loan when you're not sure. Tanganga, he's still learning the game. Do you think we will sign a centre back this January? And will it be on a loan to kind of just cover us through to the end of the season, Matty? Or do you think it will be a permanent sort of signing?
I just want to preface this by saying Romero is an incredible signing. He's injured, I know, at the moment, but what an addition he has been. To this team. I think if we're going for a centre-back, and we absolutely have to, I was on a Leeds channel a couple of weeks ago, and I said we need at least 12 centre-backs in January, and I stand by that. We need a lot of centre-backs. My logic there is about 1 in 4 of our centre-back signings actually succeed, so if we need 3, sign 12, and we'll get them there. But players we've been linked to, Stefan De Vrij, as I mentioned earlier, Gianluca Di Marzio said, unlikely, we want younger players. Antonio Rudiger and Andreas Christensen have both been linked to Chelsea players, both very similar situations in that their contract is coming to an end. Talks aren't really going very well there, and people are saying, oh, they're settling in London, they'll go to Tottenham. It's not going to happen. Neither of them. It's never going to happen. Romano said that yesterday, the Tottenham are not in the Rudiger race. And then we come on to Gleison Bremer. We haven't had the most reliable links with him. There's been from Torino, Granada, who I would kind of describe as Torino's version of Football.London, and Calcio Mercato have also said they've linked essentially Paratici wants him. It'll be about 20 to 25 million euro, which is now Peachy on Twitter, who I'm sure everybody knows, Kevin Randawa, did an incredible analysis of Bremer. He's 24 years old. He's affordable. His transfer market value is coming in at about £13.5 million.
Yep.
Would have to go a bit above that in order to get that one done. He's really comfortable on the ball and spraying it out from the back. And look at Toby Alderweireld, who Henry Wright dubbed as Lord of the Pings. We need a replacement in there. We need a player who can become that man who can ping the ball forward from defensive areas, because it was such a good attribute to have with Toby Alderweireld. And Bremer maybe could be that player. He's strong in the air. He can play on the left or the right, or centrally. So, as you're talking about with Joe Rodon, how Antonio Conte said, if you can play on either side, you give yourself more options. Bremer is a player who does that for himself. He already plays in the back three at Torino as well. He's physically dominant, one of the top centre-backs in Serie A this season. Looking a bit at how he's played, he's 15 appearances. This is last week now, so it's probably played about 15 appearances with 2 goals and 1 assist, playing 93% of the minutes with Torino, who are struggling in 13th place. But a very important thing to look in there, again, these are slightly outdated stats. These are coming in from last week. They're in 13th in the table. They're struggling, but with 16 games played, they've only conceded 17 goals, which is the best defensive record in the league outside of the top 5. And Bremer, a player who's been so important to that defensive line, I think deserves a lot of credit for that. And I will just reiterate, there's not the most reliable reports out there about Bremer coming to Tottenham, but Torino Granata, because they would be so closely linked to the club, I think there may be something to what they have said. And this is a player who just seems to fit every demographic of player that Tottenham are looking at the moment. So I'd say keep your eye on it.
Yeah.
Interesting. Jack, anything to add to that?
Gleison Bremer, David, just did a review on him on the second channel. I mean, he's absolutely insane. Like, at least also as well, David, if you just go with the numbers, I kind of can pull them off the top of my head, but I decided to, look them up, Dave. I mean, in terms of just Europe's top 5 leagues, David, at this moment in time, he has the most interceptions per 90 in Europe's top 5 leagues, the most tackles and interceptions combined in Europe's top 5 leagues, the most successful pressures as well in Europe's top 5 leagues. So, Dave, that's almost like exactly what Romero was doing when you think about it from last season. He is kind of producing similar numbers. Very, very aggressive defender. Very, very good in the air, like Maddie said. He is, and also is very comfortable in a back three, because I believe that's what Torino play, and he plays in the center of a back three often as well, just like what Romero was doing. So, like I said, even though maybe that was being really disrespectful to Gleison Bremer, I would say a very aggressive defender, kind of like Davinson Sanchez is, but just worlds beyond him, Like Maddie said as well, £13.5 million. I mean, contract expires in 2024, I think. Which would then mean, you could probably get in him for maybe 20, 25 million, something like that. I think it'd be an absolute steal, Dave. He's absolutely smashing it at this moment in time. Absolutely smashing it. I'd take Gleison Bremer any time of the week, Dave. If I could actually go for someone else like you, Dave, I think Sven Botman is still an absolute steal. I think he's world class, could fill in that left-sided center back position, challenge Ben Davies' spot. Maybe I would ask, Maddie about this. I think for a brief while, or maybe it's just one source that I saw, Benoit Badiashile, that Monaco guy, really, really young French center back from Monaco. He's also a left-sided center back as well. We were rumored with him at one stage. His contract expires in 2024 as well, like kind of Bremer's. Maybe that could be an option if we didn't get someone like a Bremer or, Sven Botman.
Interesting. And Jack, would you say that Sven Botman would be the ideal replacement for maybe a Ben Davies?
I think anybody would be the ideal replacement for Ben Davies, but
what I mean is for the role that Ben Davies plays, that unique role that we highlighted yesterday in the tactics.
No, yeah, I think he would, Dave. He's actually what we saw even in the highlight reel as well, Dave. He's very good ball carrier. He also has good ping pass on him, Sven Botman does. Actually knows how to ping it as well. Could, then ping it across. He loves to actually switch play. I think he has a lot of switches of play from what I saw, Sven Botman. So he'd be able to switch play all the way to Emerson without needing to pass it through the midfield. He could just ping it across to someone like Emerson. I think he absolutely would challenge, Ben Davies' a spot. Very good in the air, Sven Botman is. Very, very strong as well. So that would be nice because he wouldn't get bullied, Botman would. So I think he'd be an absolute. I would actually probably rather take him over Benoit Badiashile, that Monaco guy. I'd rather have Botman. Yeah, Dave, he'd be spectacular. I think he could also easily play in the center as well. Yeah. Botman could. But I think he'd be better kind of carrying the ball out a bit. He's also really calm under pressure, Sven Botman is. So he has all the makings of a good center back. And when you're playing alongside Jose Font, who's absolutely ancient, you probably, have to be pretty decent if you're holding him apart.
Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah, 100%. No, look, put Sven Botman out of his misery and get him in. That's what I say. William Kelly says, don't have Matty on anymore. He's crushed my dreams and has me in a deep depression.
I mean, like, blame Dan Levy. I'm just here trying my best. That's all.
Big up, William. Big up, William. Lazy 8, big up, Nick. He says, I hear Levy has his eye on Aguero this window. Thoughts, Matty? Seriously, though, any chance of Spurs getting in an American in? Here, Pulisic isn't happy. Matty, do you know of any Americans coming to Tottenham anytime soon?
First of all, I just want to say, absolutely devastated to hear Aguero retiring today. For me, he's the best Premier League striker I've ever seen. An incredibly talented player. With the credit he gets, and it's a lot, I still don't think it's enough for what he did with Manchester City. A true grade of the game, and it's sad to see him retire. If there is any chance of Tottenham getting an American in, I assume Weston McKennie would be the main man on that list. One who has a good relationship with Fabio Paratici, who of course brought him into Juventus from Schalke last year. Aside from that, I haven't really seen any links. Pulisic, again, in the same line as Rudiger and Christensen. Chelsea to Tottenham just doesn't really happen. So I say McKennie is your best bet there.
Yeah,
well, there you have it, Nick.
Couldn't say better myself.
McKennie's on his way, so he is. Let's just welcome a few more people.
Big up, Nick.
Big up, Nick. Absolute legend. He's the lad behind all the thumbnails, so he is. Absolute legend. Let's welcome a few more people to the stream. We have Rich Weiss, Paul Russell, Ashish Nira. We still have True Sets of Free King huddled with us. Who else have we got? Cody Max in the house. Big up, Cody Mac. Carlos. We have Vera Sly. We've got Danny Kiriakou in. Big up, Danny. Hope you're keeping well as well. Mehdi Shelby. Who else have we got? 92 Flamethrower. It's good to see you in, my man. I haven't seen you in a while. I hope you're keeping well, 92 Flamethrower. We also have Adam D in the house. Says hello, everyone. Faz Rapfar says, big up. Any news? Who is out tomorrow? Just joined. Matty?
I know 6 of the players who have tested positive, but I don't think it's fair to. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's medical records. Let's not talk about that. Without mentioning any names, the 2 players who tested positive initially were back in training at the start of this week with the team, and 3 more players have returned to training in the last couple of days on top of that. So we do have 5 of the players who tested positive back, but that leaves at least 4 who are still out with COVID.
Now, there you have it, Faz. There you have it. Can't give you the names, but yeah, look, we're all in the same boat, Faz, to be fair. We just have to wait till tomorrow to find out. The bottom doer, a 30-plus player you'd like to bring in to add experience. Look, I'll just take this one. From me, I'll just say Luka Modric. I'd love to bring him back.
Great answer.
I think it'd be absolutely quality for a year. I think it'd help us out massively as well in that midfield department, the bottom doer. So that's who I would get, my man. That's who I'd get. But look, we'll keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. What else have we got here? Cover for Kane. Favorite subject, Harry Kane. But look, it's not about Harry Kane today. But Matty, Kane, he's been playing well under Conte. He has struggled to find the net in the Premier League, though, with 1 goal, and needs competition in his position. He needs someone to give him a rest and compete with him. Conte admitted earlier this month that Bergwijn maybe would be the guy to deputise for Harry Kane when he requires a breather. But it's clear that we need another out-and-out striker, and Conte wants cover in that position. Do you see us getting a striker in come deadline day? And what are the options out there for us?
Oh, man, people are going to hate me. I don't think we're getting a striker. I really don't. There. Look, back up for Kane. We've had this conversation countless times over the last couple of years, and I really apologise to everyone. We've had the conversation so many times, but right now there are things that need to be addressed in that first team. A couple of centre-backs, a midfielder as well, a number 10, and maybe a winger that we need to address in that first team straight away. Centre or striker isn't really top of that list. And just to ruin people's opinion of me more, I don't want Vlahovic for £70 million. I'm sorry. If you're demanding £70 million for a player who, granted, is ripping it up and is utterly incredible in Italy, I'm not going to deny that. If you want £70 million, I'd rather get a player who's proven in the Premier League or has been proven on the continent for a little bit longer. Like, Vlahovic is only really performing at this level for the last year, maybe a bit more. If it does come down to 40 million over the summer, like Corriere dello Sport are reporting it might, well, then that's something that we should go with. But with the problems that we have right now throughout that team, stay so far away, 70 million for a player who could come in and absolutely flop in the Premier League. I'm not going to leave it there. I'm going to give a potential replacement. And Adrian in the chat has been absolutely on the ball tonight. There it is. Julian Alvarez for River Plate.
You're going to say that.
What a player. What a player he is. With regards to reports linking us to him, Gianluigi Langari has said that Tottenham are one of many interested clubs, which doesn't really surprise me. TYC Sports has said he has a release clause of €20 million, which is just over £17 million. Now, this man puts the ball in the back of the net for fun, and it's as simple as that. He's played 21 times in the league for River Plate this season, has 18 goals and 7 assists, which is 25 goal contributions and 21 league appearances. In his last 14 games, he has 16 goals and 7 appearances. He's missed one a couple of months ago with injury, but my God, he is absolutely on fire. And I had the absolute legend that is, thanks for that, Emily. I had the absolute legend that is Euro Expert on my channel a few weeks ago. We were talking about this, and he was saying there's a football analyst whose name I forget, and I apologize, but he said when you're looking at players within these lower leagues, kind of outside the top 5 of Europe, you need to look at if they're scoring goals for fun, fantastic, but how many shots are they taking? And he said if you average kind of more than 3 or 4 shots per game, well, then you need to do an adjustment and realize you're not going to get as many shots as that if you come to the Premier League. So, kind of adjust things like that. Julian Alvarez has 2.5 shots per game, and he's scoring almost a goal a game. This man is absolutely clinical in terms of his development. Obviously, there's incredible players that have come out of the River Plate Academy, have come out of Argentina, have come out of South America, but he's in there right now with one of the most highly sought after coaches in Europe. And again, his name is gone. What's the River Plate manager's name?
Gallardo.
Gallardo, that is Marcelo Gallardo. Absolutely incredible manager. Julian Alvarez is going to be absolutely massive. For £70 million, there's going to be a lot of competition. Even if we get that highest bid in, there's going to be a lot of convincing for him to get him to the club, especially with him knowing he will be second fiddle to Harry Kane. But if we're going for a striker in January, if it is between Vlahovic and Alvarez, that's an easy decision for me. Just to quickly mention another player that has been linked is Ousmane Dembele. Again, no, just don't do this.
Another embargo.
Super Deporte. In Spain, there's Sports Super Deporte, Mundo Deportivo, and Fernando Polo is linking Ousmane Dembele to Tottenham. But look, people say he's had a lot of injuries because Barcelona's medical team is so bad. Have you seen Tottenham's injury record? We're just as bad, if not worse. Don't do this. That's all I can. Daniel Levy, I know you're watching. You always watch, David. Don't do this, please.
I do not want Ousmane Dembele. Problems at Dortmund, problems at Barcelona. I'm talking about problems off the field, just turning up late and everything else. Has a long history of it. Keep him the fuck away from my club. If he comes to Tottenham, I will absolutely lose my shit. It's just going to be money flushed down the drain. But Jack, surprisingly, Matty said he doesn't rate Vlahovic. What's your thought?
Hold on.
70 million Vlahovic. 70 million Vlahovic.
If I didn't rate Vlahovic, I'd be out of it straight away. And sorry to interrupt, but Craig Bowler just made a point there. It's more of a risk bringing in players from South America than Italy. Again, Euro Expert was talking about kind of rating leagues throughout the world. In South America, the Argentinian league is a lot higher than you'd expect. It's up there, I think, either 7th or 8th, which is just below the Serie A. I'm not saying I pick Alvarez over Vlahovic purely for the risk. Yeah, it is actually. I'm not saying I pick Alvarez over Vlahovic purely for the risk factor, but if you're taking a risk, do it for 50 million less. That's all I'm saying.
And I would just, quickly say, Matty, I believe his contract expires in 2022 as well, or June 30th, 2022. So
it could do.
Technically, I think getting him on a free, then it'd be like everybody would be competing for him. But I think £20 million release clause in January window. That goal record, pretty ridiculous. That's pretty ridiculous. That's a steal.
Do you know what? I actually hope I eat my words on him. Jack, you know what I said about my don't rate him. I think this guy is another Eric Lamela, to be honest with you, in my opinion. But look, only time will tell, Matty. Only time will tell.
You don't.
This is great.
No, I don't. I think he's another Eric Lamela. I really do.
David.
This is great. David saying that about Julian Alvarez, then David also saying to Matty that he doesn't rate Vlahovic. This is great. This is the one heated section. This is the one heated section.
No, look, me and Jack, we done one of the scout reports on him, and I just don't see it. I just don't see it. Look, if we could get him for 10 million, I'd take the opportunity. I'd take the chance. But, I wouldn't really be putting anything else over there. But, Jack, Dusan Vlahovic, 70 million. For me, I think he solves a long-term problem, but also a short-term problem. And the reason why I say that is because he'd come in, provide competition and everything else for Harry Kane. But you also have him there long-term when Harry Kane or when or if Harry Kane decides he's going to leave or he gets on in years. So, Jack, do you think Dusan Vlahovic is worth the 70 million in the long run? And the reason why I ask that as well is because you look at a Haaland. Now, people, big money on him, it's a bit of a risk. But you just look at a player sometimes, you just know they're going to score goals. They're a unique specimen. I mean, look at the size of Dusan Vlahovic. He's an absolute animal. Jack, is 70 million, overpriced like Jack says, or like I think, it'd be a good steal in terms of what you'd end up paying for him in another 2-3 years?
I don't think it would be overpriced, but just quickly, two-part answers. With Julian Alvarez, Maddie just saying you don't have to put me in David's boat. When I did that reaction, I actually thought he looked actually quite decent. I actually even went, maybe the reason why David, doesn't like him is because I said when I was watching the highlights, I was like, this guy looks like maybe the next Sergio Aguero. He looks like the next Lautaro Martinez. And, I don't think David, liked those comparisons, which is maybe why, he's, putting him down a bit. But, and also I think as well, him getting him on a 20 million pound release clause, that's just insane. I would eat that up any day. 70 million pounds, David, and you kind of were taking my point, I would say there, which I was about to make, but I'll make it a bit different. When you take yourself back to the days of Erling Haaland at RB Salzburg, and you kind of think about it, the guy was just on absolute fire. And you probably would say, like, did Dortmund maybe, people might have said, oh, maybe Dortmund were overpaying, for somebody that was just kind of, just tearing it apart for a while, maybe somebody that, still had a lot of developing to do. And then you take yourself back to now when it's like anybody would practically pay, a country's GDP, to bring in Erling Haaland at this rate, so you kind of think about it in those terms. It's a bit similar then to Dusan Vlahovic, where Dusan is just absolutely tearing it up right now. And that only means is that if, like Erling Haaland, he just continues to tear it up, continues to do it, that price will just soar. So whatever the price is right now of 70 million pounds, if that is available, I would do it as well, David, because I think you've made this point before as well. There are not a lot of world-class, like big bodied unit like number 9s in football right now. It's a bit of a dying breed of a footballer at this moment in time, which is why also Erling Haaland is probably so successful, is because not only does he have incredible pace and incredible strength, but he also is just a bit of an absolute kind of classic number 9 to agree, despite all of his athletic attributes, he's also just has that size, has that sort of intimidation factor as well. And Dusan Vlahovic, I would say, is a bit similar in that regard. He doesn't have the pace of Erling Haaland, but I will say, I think he's a bit quicker than actually he looks. I do think he's a bit quicker than he looks, Dusan is, but he has kind of those Erling Haaland qualities of just being an absolute menace. He loves the physical contact from what I've seen. Also kind of like Erling Haaland, he gets a kind of a sickening kind of like, grin from all the physical contact. He seems to love, when a defender is on, his back, David, he just seems to get a sick thrill out of it, as well as he has unbelievable finishing ability, where he doesn't actually, maybe taking yourself back to what Maddie was saying about taking a lot of shots, he doesn't really take that many shots, and he buries almost every opportunity that's put in front of him. When he is given those opportunities, he will put it away, and he puts it away in a lot of different ways, whether it's dinking it over the keeper, whether it's just absolutely barreling in a header, whether it's a first time volley, a half volley, whether it's one-on-one with the keeper. He's been quite spectacular. I agree with Maddie that maybe 70 million pounds, especially being Tottenham Hotspur, maybe that just breeds epic failure. But I would say Dusan Vlahovic is the real deal, and I think he's just going to continue to soar in price valuation, just like Erling Haaland has. And so I think we do what maybe Dortmund did, jump on that train nice and early. You bring him in for whatever price they want, and then you just get, somebody that you would have for the rest of time. And also, who doesn't love an itch back at Tottenham Hotspur, Dave?
No, that's for sure. Definitely. Great answer there, Jack. Look, I absolutely love Dusan Vlahovic. I do think, look, I think the reason why you see the value put on, like even Lukaku, you look at Haaland, Vlahovic, the reason why the price is put on them out there is because it's a dying breed. They're not coming along as often as they were. And look, that's why, look, City are getting away with it this year, but that's why they came looking for Harry Kane. Every top club wants one because they know how much havoc they cost. Someone with pace, power, and knows where the back of the net is. I mean, anyone can get a winger to kind of fill in up front and put the ball over the top and try and get in goals and that. But what a unique, what a player like a Vlahovic, a Haaland, a Lukaku maybe. I don't really rate Lukaku too much either, though, to be fair. But definitely a Harry Kane. It's rare. What they offer is an all-round perfect game up front. So it's very, very rare. It's a dying breed, and that's why they're valued the way they're valued in this this day and age, in my opinion. I mean, you go back through the Premier League era, years gone by. They were 10 a penny. I mean, you could put a striker from most clubs and they'd start banging in goals. But nowadays, it's extremely rare. Brad Matthews says, good evening, lads. A lot of business in January could depend on whether we're in the conference. Homegrown in EPL is less strict. Matty, what would you say to Brad Matthews?
Brad Matthews is always right. That's the main thing I can say. The homegrown quota is a lot more strict in Europe for whatever reason. I still think we're kind of teetering on the edge of that within the Premier League as well. And it's a really annoying thing to have to kind of take hold of our transfer dealings when we're so close to that edge. But as always, Brad, absolutely spot on.
Yeah, big up, Brad. Look, for me, I'm sick of this whole homegrown rule. I hear enough of it from Alex Davies. He's constantly on about it. I mean, he absolutely loves it. And single-handedly, he's made me sick of the rule, to be honest with you.
No wonder he loves it. It's the only reason that's keeping Harry Winks at this club at this moment in time.
Yeah, but look, Alfie White, man, coming back from loan, we'll sort that out. Bring him in, ship Harry Winks on, sell him. Let him be someone else's problem, and then we can just get back to happier days. But yeah, Brad Matthews, big yourself up, my man. I really appreciate the support, brother. Danny Kiriakou says, big up, lads, enjoying the show. Nice to see Matty back and looking forward to all those Haysby goals in January. Matty, thoughts plus prayers with Bob and his family. 100% Danny, thoughts and prayers with Bob and the family. Look, Bob's a fighter and hopefully he pulls through, my man. And it's great to have Matty on, and I haven't even asked him yet. I was going to ask him after, but hopefully we can have Matty on here regularly throughout January, maybe once a week if we could organise it, with Jack, to throw some transfer shows out there. I think it'd be absolutely amazing. That's, of course, if Matty has time, because I know how January is for Matty Hayes. Of course, it's a busy time. But big up, Danny. I really appreciate it. And it is great to see Matty, my man. It's great to have him on. I'm absolutely delighted. Big smile on my face. William Kelly says, tomorrow our midfield will consist of Ali, Ndombele, and Winks. Wow, we are F. Yeah. I know.
Hard to disagree.
I'll be honest with you. Sorry, Matty?
I said it's hard to disagree with him.
Yeah. And maybe that other guy who asked, Faz asked earlier, who's available, who's not available. Just kind of listen to what Matty says there. Look, there's probably a high percentage maybe that these guys will be rolled out. And for me, look, William, I actually don't even want to think about it till tomorrow, till we do the build-up, to be honest with you, because, I mean, I will not sleep tonight. I'll be pulling my hair out, for the first 4 hours, I'll be thinking, what colour is Dele Alli's hair going to be? Next 4 hours, I'll be sitting there thinking about how good Ndombele is, but how shit he acts. And that just pisses me off. And then, when I'm getting tired, Winks will pop into the brain. I'll be alert again. I'll be like a raging tiger. I'll just start running through walls. And honestly, I don't want to think about it till tomorrow, William. I do not want to think about it till tomorrow, to be honest with you. It's just so annoying.
It's the stuff of nightmares.
I just want to be taken out of this position. I want to get in proper footballers who are grown men, accountable, and will just do their job. I just don't want babies at the club anymore. I just don't. I'm sick of it. Absolutely sick of it, William. Big yourself up. Cody Mack, exactly, my man. You tell him. Everybody smash that like button. It's free. Only 80 likes, 220 odd in-house. Come on, that's not good enough. 245 now. So come on, guys. Smash that like button. If you are new, smash that subscribe button as well. Come on, Cody. You keep on them, my man. You're good for that. Big up, Cody. Absolute legend. Couva 99. If we don't throw everything at trying to sign Vlahovic, then we'll regret it for a long time. He's one of the few talents that can make Kane droppable. I disagree with the second part, but just purely because you mentioned Harry Kane. But the first part is what I was trying to get out about Harry Kane, to be honest with you, Couva. That, long term, I do think we'll end up regretting it. But the second part, I disagree with, just purely because you're talking about Lord Harold Edward Kane. So
Master Kane.
Can't do it. But he's going to come back. He's going to score. And then, but with Vlahovic, it gives us options. This is what it gives us. You can bring him on if you want. You can drop Harry Kane in the deeper role where like Lucas Moura or Son are playing, like we highlighted yesterday. And you can use Kane's creativity and stuff like that. Two of them could end up playing together. Two big bashing bruisers. What more do you want? Let's head to the Emirates with it.
Good comparison would be like, look what Leicester City, who will be playing tomorrow, have done with Patson Daka and, Jamie Vardy. Two players of the exact same style, the exact same mold. They don't usually play them together, Dave, but if they're kind of going for a goal at the last 20 minutes, they actually put them on at the same time and see how they work together. And then also as well, it's kind of the same situation where Patson Daka is eventually going to replace Jamie Vardy, maybe the same way that Vlahovic would eventually replace, kind of Harry Kane. So I think it would be kind of something like that. Two players of the exact same mold, eventually play together on the same time, when need be, and then also can challenge each other of similar qualities.
Yeah, no, 100%. I could not agree more with that. We have another super chat to get to, and then we will be heading into the last. Actually, let me check. Is it the last part of the show? Sorry, a bit of an amateur hour here. Yes, it will be the last part of the show because we'll be heading into moving on unwanted players. And look, I don't want to hold too many people up from going to bed tonight. I certainly don't want to hold Matty up because he's a busy man with working. So we'll get through the unwanted players quick enough. But William Kelly says there is no point talking about these players because Lewis is not funding anything. He would rather spend his billions on artwork and sit back and pull his pud. Do you know what? I fully agree with you, William. Please let me dream. Let me dream, please. I beg you, just let me have this dream. Let me talk about these players because it's the only time I'll ever get to talk about them. But no, William. Look, I definitely see where you're coming from. But look, it's Christmas, my man. Let me dream and then pull me back down to reality on the 31st of January after the transfer window is closed. And it hasn't happened. But please, for the bud, just let me do it. I beg you. Please.
William Kelly, though, maybe we could convince Lewis that there's this beautiful piece of artwork out in Italy called Dusan Vlahovic, and you should bring him into the club. Be a moving piece of art. One that you can actually, touch, one thing you can actually talk to, and also as well, there's only so much wall space in that big Lewis yacht, and it's probably all filled by that artwork anyway. So unless he's willing to, get an even bigger yacht to fill all that artwork in, he's going to have to eventually, find, a bit of a moving artwork, which might be Dusan.
I hope so. Honestly, it'd be like the new Mona Lisa. Absolutely love it. Big up, William Kelly. Really appreciate it, my man. We should actually, that's what we need to do. If there's any artists out there, I would love you to do me a piece of Harry Kane in like the Mona Lisa sort of picture. That would be absolutely awesome. I'd adore it. Honestly, I'd kick the missus out of the bed and I'd sleep with it. That'd be the ultimate for me. So honestly, if there's anyone out there that can do that, please do it for me. I mean, it's absolutely awesome. Come to think of it, I mean, I actually have to write to Santa and put that on the list. It's a late request. But look, we are moving on to unwanted players, lads. Let's get into it. Matty, we'll start with you. I mean, look, I was going to ask you about maybe players individually, but look, you already know what you want to talk about when it comes to these sort of players. So give your spiel on each one of them that you think potentially could be heading for a realistic exit this window.
Dele Alli. Right. As you know, David, as I'm sure everybody who's ever heard me speak knows, he is one of the players that made me fall in love with football and made me fall in love with this football club because I'm a child and he was in the team when I first started like properly watching football. What he did on his day was he was one of the best attacking midfielders in the Premier League, if not the world, for a couple of years there. You know, the 2016-17 season, he scored, 18, 20 goals, he got another 16 assists, whatever it was. He was smashing records set by Gerrard and Lampard. He was, the technical ability he had. You look at that goal against Crystal Palace, that volley, and that tells you all you need to know about what was a kid who made the step from MK Dons in the League One. Might I add, as a midfielder, the top goal scorer in League One with MK Dons. He made that step up into the Premier League and he made it with absolute ease. I still remember him starting against Leicester in August of his first season and thinking, who the hell is this kid and why is he here? And then he scored that last minute equaliser. I went over to White Hart Lane a few weeks later. I think it was for a game against Everton. And I saw people at the club shop and they were getting these jerseys with Ali in the back. I was like, what are you doing? Who is this kid? And I was proven very wrong with 3 years of absolute magnificence. But right now, he's utter garbage. And like you said, he looks like a crayon. And it's the last thing that we need in our team right now. He is, I think, he's become to epitomize everything that we don't want in this team. I don't think we can question his effort as much as people do because you have these stats of him running more than any other player in the Spurs team, and it's great that he does that, but it never results in anything. It's always a kind of half press. The ball's played past him too easily. The kind of risks that he used to take, he's going to take it out of his game for whatever reason, and it's just not worked out for him. And looking at Mike McGrath, David Ornstein, Matt Law, Fabrizio Romano, Dan Kilpatrick, and Sammy Mokbel all saying he's gone in January. It'll probably be in a loan move initially, but it looks like his time is coming to an end. And on a personal and nostalgic level, it's absolutely heartbreaking. But on a football level, it's probably a year too late. But look, this stuff happens in football. We need to replace him with someone who can actually give us something now. And hopefully we will be able to do that. But he was magnificent for us for so long. Other players, Harry Winks, goodbye. Thank you very much. Stephen Bergwijn. It's unfortunate with Bergwijn because, look, he came in from PSV and he had a very good start. He scored the only goal of the game in his debut against Manchester City. He had this great record of scoring in like his first 4 games at White Hart Lane, including against United after the return following lockdown. And he's looked good. Like he runs, he's able to beat a man, but for whatever reason, he just can't do it consistently. And it's come to the stage now where, as a player who has never been proven in the Premier League and has only been proven in the Eredivisie, which is outside the top 5 in Europe, you start to think, well, it's just not going to happen. It's been 2 years. And I continue to say, like I do with Tanguy Ndombele, that he's come into a very difficult situation with a number of different managers throughout a couple of years, which is unfortunate. It makes it more difficult for him. But now Fabrizio Romano saying he is one of the players who could leave. There are many clubs who are interested, and it's simply Antonio Conte's decision. He also says, along with ESPN, that the relationship between Conte and Bergwijn just isn't good. And Mike Verwey and Voetbal International, 2 sources from the Netherlands, say that Ajax have made their interest in the player official. And then Ten Hag said they're looking at the situation with Stephen Bergwijn. It won't go down well with PSV, that's for sure. But I think we'd see Stephen Bergwijn back at Ajax, or back in Holland, going to Ajax this January as well.
Thank God. I mean, honestly, I'm just sick of these players coming and taking advantage. I'm fed up with it. But Jack, honestly, it's music to my ears talking about players. I love this. This is my favorite.
No, it's good to have it a bit confirmed, Dave. It's nice to have it, kind of confirmed. It makes you feel like, the pain could eventually be over. In terms of Dele Alli, Dave, we went over it. I mean, the rise is one of the most spectacular rises any sort of English, just not even Spurs player, any sort of English footballer at that age has ever really had in some considerable time. And the fall was almost just as great, which is really just also kind of sad as well. Like it's like a roller coaster really was with Dele Alli. And it's just kind of sad that he went from being, this kind of cute, kind of adorable, beautiful footballer to watch to a pack of crayons, and now at this stage. So I think you just have to get him out. I don't really see him coming back after that loan spell, because I'd like to think maybe, Dave, that when he gets that loan spell, he won't have, the notoriety. He won't have kind of the, sort of, I don't know, kind of braggartness and things like that he does over here. And he'll have to go into a squad and actually prove something. He'll have a clean slate, but with the clean slate comes a bit of humility, which he doesn't really have at this moment in time. So maybe that will do him a bit of good, and he can probably, play well again. And I want him to do well, at another club. It's not going to happen here, him playing well. It's going to have to be at another club. Hopefully that club then maybe gives us a bit of cash for it at the end of that loan spell. So with Matty confirming that, I'm with him as well. One of the biggest rises and falls of any sort of English footballer in some considerable time. But hopefully he does well. Case of Stephen Bergwijn, David, I don't know. There've just been so many moments where you really thought he, kind of similar to Tanguy to a degree, where he's playing against a team that you just feel like, considering this guy's talent, he should be absolutely destroying these sort of players, and they just go missing for the entirety of the match. They, he sometimes takes 4, if not 5 touches to take control of the ball. Sometimes it seems like he has pace. Sometimes it seems like he has no pace at all. His finishing, we all know, Dave, he couldn't hit either ocean if he tried. So I don't know, Dave, as well. I think it fits similar to, I don't know, the moment he came here, Dave, we all knew the flashy cars. I hate to say it because I do like his tattoos, but all the tattoos and everything as well. He just seems like somebody that just kind of maybe similar to Dele Alli, Dave, the big contract and everything all got bit to his head too quickly. Didn't really focus on football, didn't focus on getting better. He's back over to potentially Ajax. I will say, though, I mean, PSV did just sell Berghuis or Berghuis, however you say it, over there. That was a big kind of controversy. So it seems to be more popular now that a PSV player would go to an Ajax team. I think I'm wishing Stephen Bergwijn the best. I bet he'll kill it over at the Eredivisie because that seems like it's more his level. So to see those two gone, David, would actually be pretty great for this team, because I think they're also not only not doing anything for this club, but really, really toxic for this club at this moment in time, because they do not seem like good personalities around the dressing room. If Dele Alli had a good personality around the dressing room, I would feel a bit sadder about it, but we all know that he's really toxic as well in the dressing room, and probably the same with Stephen Bergwijn. So I think it's, it's good riddance. I hate to say it, but at least in Dele Alli's case, Dele Alli, we have to give a bit more respect to, because he did do a lot for this club. He brought us memories. He, gave us moments to be proud of as Spurs fans, where I can't say that with Steven Bergwijn though. So.
No, I mean, Steven Bergwijn's come over here for a good time. I mean, look, do you know, I was just looking at it the other day, and it's like, when Westlife is starting to give me more joy than Dele Alli and Bergwijn, I just kind of like, right, it's time to go. You know what I mean? Because Westlife should not be giving me any joy in life whatsoever. So it's just kind of like, it's just time for them to go, and that's it. I'm just done with them. I'm just done with players taking the piss out of Tottenham. Don't want to be here moaning in the press like 2-year-olds, want to be spoon-fed, sponged down in their bubble bath. I'm fed up with it. Get out my club. I want players coming here to play football. And that's all I want at the end of the day. Kuva99 says, that's my point, Dave. At the minute, we have to play Kane. No, we do. And I've actually made up 2 very good songs for tomorrow's game for the watch-along. I absolutely love it. So I have... Honestly, I was absolutely buzzing making them today. 2 little chants that I can sing. One about Harry Kane and then one about Tottenham. Absolutely brilliant. I think Paxton Road might have seen it. I sent it over to Paxton Road because they were looking for people to send videos in for their stream. But absolutely not. They're good chants. They're good chants. So they are. Big up, Kuva. One of them is about Harry Kane. It's so cringy, but I love it. I absolutely love it. Sean Butler says, at Spurs Talk Show, big up, Shawnee. He says, Kane has scored 18 goals versus Leicester in all comps. The goal gets back on track tomorrow night. Come on, you Spurs. Look, I say it every week, but you know what? I'm going to take a different approach this week. If I don't say it, maybe he will, Sean. Maybe he will. But no, actually, what I will do is I'll actually tweet him. Because usually when I tweet him, he does score. So that's what I might actually do. I might actually tweet him tomorrow, Shawnee, and just say, Kane, I can feel it. You know what I mean? I can feel it. So, no, look, Shawnee, hopefully he can return to form tomorrow, my man, hopefully. And Faz Radford says, can Matt guess the starting lineup tomorrow, please? I like the way he's coming back at a different attempt with the question. You got to appreciate the hustle.
I admire it. That's all I'm saying. I'm playing it safe here.
Oh, there you have it. Faz Radford.
I'll give it to Faz. I'll give it Hugo, Tanganga, Dyer, Sanchez, Doherty, Winks, and Dombele. Had to say it quickly so I didn't puke. Reguilon, I guess Reguilon supposedly out as well. Sessegnon, Bergwijn, Kane. I'm going to go Lo Celso up top as well. There it
Interesting.
is.
I don't want to see Lo Celso anywhere near the game tomorrow, but I think Jack's right. I think we might just see a couple of players tomorrow. But look, Matty, Jack, anything else you think we've missed during this show that maybe you want to talk about before we do end off?
Matty?
There's a list of players who are out of contract at the end of this season. Players that we can approach on a Bosman deal this January. Now, I'm just going to read out the list and let everybody make their decisions.
Yes.
Kylian Mbappe, Paul Pogba, Frank Kezia, Paulo Dybala, Ousmane Dembele, Lorenzo Insigne, Marcelo Brozovic, Antonio Rudiger, Nicolas Sula, Andrea Bellotti, Andreas Christensen, Jesus Corona, Boubacar Kamara, Matthias Ginter, Dennis Zakaria, Remo Freuler, James Tarkowski, Sardar Azmoun, Jason Denayer, Andre Kramaric, Alexander Lacazette, Jesse Lingard, Todd Cantwell, Angel Di Maria, Alessio Romagnoli, Nusser Mazraoui, Luis Felipe, Andrew Onana, Juan Cuadrado, Florian Grillitsch, Chancellor Mbemba, David Brooks, Luis Suarez, Henrik Mkhitaryan, Isco, Sergio Roberto, Serge Aurier, Corentin Tolisso, Federico Bernardeschi, Sean Longstaff, Luka Modric, Gareth Bale, Ivan Perisic, Artem Juba, Marcel Halstenberg, Victor Klassen, Jose Luis Palomino, Mohamed Elneny, Nicolas Stark, Marvin Friedrich, Romain Saiss, Adam Marusic, Christian Pavone, Brent Brereton Diaz, and Randall Kolo Muani. If we don't buy some of those,
after that,
we're
Matt.
done.
Get a rapping career.
What about Elneny?
Let's not. Thank you. I'd rather get Serge Aurier back.
I've done a lot of, kind of streams with Darius before on this. The ones that I would definitely take, of the one Sardar Azmoun, I absolutely adore. And I feel like he would actually go to the Premier League well, because he actually has great aerial ability and he scored some pretty spectacular goals. So I would take Sardar, especially if we're not going after Vlahovic, if we're not getting Julian Alvarez, I would get Sardar Azmoun. Florian Grillitsch, I even did a review on. I think he could do a job for us. He's a great passer of the ball. Would take him on a free. Zakaria, I would definitely take on a free. Those are all realistic, the ones that I'm talking about as well. Tarkovsky is technically available as well on a free. You could probably get him. Brozovic, I think anybody would take. Whether that's going to happen is up for debate. What else is there? Believe that's kind of the ones that I remember that you said that I have on my list too. Yeah. So those, I mean, all spectacular, but plenty of free transfers out there. Like you said, Sam Johnston wouldn't be bad either, to be honest, as well. But yeah, well said, Matty.
Any preferences after this, Matty?
Oh God, I forget who I said. Let me take a look again. I mean, there's a few there that we can go for. I mean,
Matthias Ginter actually would be really good in the back three because he's actually a very good passer of the ball.
Ginter's a good player. I mean, to be honest, I would take Rudiger or Christensen. It's obviously not going to happen. Dennis Zakaria from Mönchengladbach, Remo Freuler from Atalanta as well, a good player. Jesse Lingard, I wouldn't say no to it. I wouldn't have it right up on the top of my list. Ramagnoli is not a bad shout either. Mazraoui from Ajax.
Yes, very that was the one.
Now, the only bad thing is there, Mino Raiola met with Joe Laporte, the Barcelona president, during the week, and apparently Mazraoui was one of the many names on the list that they discussed. So maybe that's out of the question at the moment.
You said Barcelona?
Barcelona, yeah.
I thought they couldn't afford a bagel at the minute.
I mean, I guess if it was on a free, I think they could take free.
It. Oh, yeah.
Officially,
Mazraoui, especially as a right wing back, Mazraoui would be incredible. He would be incredible. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That'd be a great signing.
Interesting. Well, look, there we have it. Been an absolute credible and stream an absolute riot. I've really, really enjoyed it. I've had very, very good fun today. It's good to see so many of you guys in here today in the chat. Absolutely been brilliant. But look, you know, why we get the lads to plug their channels and we'll see where you can find them, because I know you've all really enjoyed it. Smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, and feel free to send in a super chat for your appreciation for today's show. Don't worry, I know it may not be possible because of Christmas and everything else, but at least do the free things of smashing the like and the subscribe. But look, I suppose we'll start with Matty. Matty, my man. Look, everyone that subscribed to me is subscribed to you anyway, because you have more followers than me. But you know, just for the odd person that might not know where they can find you, where can they find you, my man?
Well, I'll just say, David, there's a lot of names there in the chat that I've not seen on my channel very much lately. So come on, head over. It's this basically 2 times a week. Talking a lot more kind of about the latest reports rather than going kind of more general. So if you want to be kept up to date, I know there's so many different reports that are out there, and there's so many different sources kind of coming into play now with Paratici and Conte and the Italian side of things coming in. So if you want kind of the lowdown on which sources you can trust, which ones you can't, and just really a general collection of what's going on in the last couple of days in Tottenham, I like to think I'm the number one place for that, but I know I'm definitely getting a run for my money on this channel. But please do head over and subscribe. David put the link in there. I'd really appreciate any support. We're hoping to get to 12k as soon as we can, but the numbers are going down at the moment, so you need to come over and help me out with that one and subscribe ahead of what I hope will be a very busy January, and we may have a special Italian guest on the show in January.
Ooh, he's going to be on overdrive, everybody, in January, so he's going to be, you got to head on over there. He's going to be in overdrive.
Teasing me. Absolutely teasing me. No, you do. Everybody, honestly, January's coming up. I mean, you know, there's only 2 channels you need to be, and that is, first one is Match Channel. Do get over there. I mean, you do see Fabrizio Romano on there as well, you know, so I would get over there and check that out. And like I said, you know, this guy's on the ball. Sometimes he puts up a thing or day or two early. People slate him, and then it comes true, but they won't go back and admit it. So, you know, just listen to what Matt has to say. That's all I'd say to you. Yep. But, you know, Jack, as well, you've been a massive part of this awesome stream. You and Matty, I said to everybody earlier on, this is going to be like an orgasm for people who love the transfer window. You know what I mean? And you certainly played your part alongside Matty to create this epic stream today. So, Jack, you know, where can people find you, my man?
They can find us over at flatcapeurotalk, Dave. I mean, I would say a lot of the players that have been mentioned today have already reviewed, you know, players that have already kind of given the stats on, you know, kind of reacted to and whatnot. So I would say, you know, a lot of the players that we've mentioned today, you know, have already, you know, been up on my channel. So I would head on over there, everybody, especially for that reason, because, you know, I will continue to review some of the players that we mentioned, as well as a lot of the obscure players that sometimes are mentioned. Like today, you know, there was that Ivory Coast international that we said was over at Torino. I'd be happy to review him. Also, you know, especially the Harris Army, who I obviously would love to cater to. You know, if you guys have any obscure players or any players that you just want me to talk about to review, you can send them on over to me at flatcapeurotalk, and I'd be happy to oblige. Also, if you guys really like Darius, who I know has a really fantastic transfer mind as well, and a really good knowledge of European football, he often appears and would, I think, continue like to appear very often on that channel as well. He really likes hanging out with me over there. So if you like Darius, you like what I have to say as well when it comes to transfers in European football, as well as just, you know, reviewing some of the players that we're going after, because Matty Hayes is on the pulse when it comes to everything, when it comes to Tottenham transfer links. But if you like to dream a bit, you know, if you like to think a bit outside the box, try to think of players that, of course, Spurs might never ever go after, you can probably head on over to my channel and get a bit of therapy, a bit of solace, and at least you'll be thinking that we're searching in the right places. So I probably give people a bit of those kind of false illusions. But like I said, if you like to fix Tottenham Hotspur, if you like to think about transfers and whatnot related to Tottenham Hotspur, and just even talk about European football in general, head on over to Flat Cap Euro Talk, please.
So there you have it, guys. Flat Cap Euro Talk. It's your Bible for the transfer window. Matty's going to be, honestly, it's like a tag team. Matty be offering up the players. You might be sitting there going, well, hang on. I know exactly where I can go and find out about this player now and just go straight to the Flat Cap Euro Talk. So it's absolutely a double whammy here. You guys, you've been in the middle of the sandwich. Jack and Matty providing the sandwich. Absolutely love it. But big up, everybody. Make sure you do get over there and check it out. William Kelly says, get Sergio Aurier back. Yeah, no, look, that guy, walking disaster. Absolute calamity. Don't ever want him anywhere near the club. I've honestly scratched my head for years, and I do be sitting there like, who offered this absolute buffoon, clown, a professional contract? How is someone like him a professional football player? I mean, I'm more talented and more gifted than him, and this guy has got a professional contract. I just do not understand it. Some people in the game should be sacked. Really should be sacked, William.
I feel like he was like a bipolar footballer. He would have moments of like looking good, and then the next moment he would just, just have the most embarrassing moment. He was like a bipolar when it came to his skills sometimes, really was.
Honestly, walking mistake. Absolute walking mistake. And Brian C. Socrates says, great show, lads. The three amigos were on fire tonight. I'm buzzing now for the game tomorrow and for the traffic window. Keep up the great work, all of you. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Harris Army. Big up, Socrates, the philosopher. Hope you're keeping well, my man. Really do appreciate the support, brother. I hope work don't keep you bogged down too much. I know it's a busy time of year for you with Christmas coming up. It's good to see you popping in. I know you went pop in when you can. And Brian, I hope you are keeping well. And look, I don't know whether I will see you in the chat before Christmas or not, but happy Christmas if not, my man. Do go and enjoy it and really appreciate the support. But you know what, Brian? Just to get you pumped up, I'm going to end on my little chant that I've made up for tomorrow's game, just to get you even more pumped up. And then we will end it off. So, look, we all know Leicester's nickname is the Foxes. The Foxtrot is a dance. So here it is. I like it, I like it, I like it, I like it. Whoa, whoa, Tottenham. Foxtrotting all over the King Power. I like it, I like it, I like it, I like it. So, Brian C., that's what you can sing tonight. And then, look, I may as well give Kuva my Harry Kane one. It is a bit to Oasis. If I can just get the song back into my head. Can't remember, but Kuva, I deliver it tomorrow on the watch along. I will deliver it tomorrow on the watch along. But Brian C., that song was for you. Hopefully it's got you pumped up. Honestly, tomorrow, hopefully it's raining cats and foxes. We're going to be doing the Foxtrot, my man. Let's get the dancing lessons. We're going to the King Power, taking the 3 points. Look, guys, absolutely brilliant show. Everybody, make sure you smash that like button, the subscribe button, and get your comments underneath as well. I have been bad at getting in underneath the last while and everything else, but now I will. And everybody, I'm going to leave you with that song because it's catchy. I know some of you are already singing it in your heads. Back here tomorrow from about 3:30 for the build-up to the massive, massive game. Truth sets you free says, great show as always. Thank you very much.
Big up, Truth. Big up, Brian, for the big one as well.
Yeah, big one. Absolute big day tomorrow. Build up and watch along. Make sure you're here. Be there or be square. Come on, you Spurs. In Conte we trust, baby.
In Conte we trust.
Go!